Live streaming. It says we're live streaming.
Wait for the next 4 seconds.
All right, little green light has come on. All right, the green light is on. All right, so CoCoTALK episode 65, take 2 is live, and I'm going to try to play the intro again. I don't know if it's going to pick up where it left off or what the hell it's going to do. I don't know what's going to happen, to be honest with you. Let's try to play the intro again. Let's see what's going on here. There we go. I want to rock! This is CoCoTALK, the world's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy Color computer. Streaming live on YouTube and Roku, available as a podcast and enjoyed the world over. And now, here's your host. That's right. Welcome to CoCoTALK episode 65, everybody. I am your host. Okay, so Diego is calling in. But here's the problem. Diego, Al Hartman's calling in. Okay, we got Al Hartman. I see that Diego is trying to call in, but I don't know, Diego, I don't know if you can hear us, Diego, but you need to add CoCoTALK as a contact before you can join, because I cannot add you to the call. Al Hartman just joined us from the bridge of the Enterprise. All right, we're here, guys. Sorry, after a brief technical difficulty here, literally a minute after we went live, my Windows PC gave me the sad face of crash. It's no longer the blue screen of death, and that you now get a little sad face emoji saying, "We're sorry, we suck." It took about a minute and a half for it to do its core dump, and once it finished its core dump, then I had to wait for all my 400 apps to start up, you name it. So we're here, we're live. We're back. It's episode 65. Of course, I had saved things that did not get saved. I changed the topic, which we don't even know what the topic is today. Surprise, surprise, right? So, anyways, we're here. And we have people on the show, and that's great. And we're happy to have you all here. We've got a new face to the show, so we're going to play that game that we love to play. Let's put a stranger on the spot and have him tell us his life story. We'll get to that. But let's go around the room, and let's see who's here. Today we have the host with the least, Grant Leighty, is with us. Hey, Grant, how are you?
see what happens whenever you make fun of me? The whole show just crashes.
Yes, karma. Karma's, how's
it going, everybody?
As the old saying go, karma's only a bitch when you are. So, welcome back, Greg. It's nice to have you here. We have the thunder from down under, Mr. Nicholas Marentes. Good day, Nick.
Good day, everyone. Yep. That was a very professionally staged crash there, Steve. Very good.
This was an emergency drill. We had to go through the procedure. What would happen if my computer actually crashed during a live broadcast? And so that's right. So
who needs contingency plans?
What if we had another?
We do it live.
Yes.
We just do it live.
We'll do it live. What is this to play us out? We're very lucky to have with us a multinational celebrity, as seen at PenFest, as seen at CorgsCon, as seen at CoCoFest, as seen at Hamvention, creator of the second best piece of hardware to hit the CoCo since the CoCo SDC. It's switcheroo creator himself, Mr. Jason, the CoCo Man Reighard. Welcome, Jason.
Hey. Yeah, there we go. There's my theme song.
Jason is here. We've got another one of our foreign dignitaries from the Great White North. We have D. Bruce Moore. How's it going, eh?
Going good, eh?
It's going good. Okay, so somebody just mentioned to me that that the output is blurry. I don't know. Can you guys see the bandwidth on this? I don't know what the bandwidth is like.
Looks good here.
Looks good on my end.
No problem here.
Good on
Okay.
CoCo TV.
For me.
All right, well, it is what it is. Welcome back, Bruce Moore. We'll catch up with you hopefully in a bit. Terry Steen is with us. How are you, Terry?
Yeah, I'm doing great. How you doing, Steve?
Great to have you. Hey, Terry, where do you roughly live at again?
Oh, I'm in Virginia.
Virginia. And
Richmond.
What was your date of birth again?
Well, in the street I grew up on, and my best friend.
Last four of your social. Your favorite pet. All right, and we have with us Al Hartman. Welcome, Al. How are you?
Doing okay. Proud owner of an MC10 now.
Excellent, excellent. MC10.
Steve Bjork would be proud.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. It'd be something.
We're sorry.
And we
I just got yesterday my composite mod. Going to put that in soon. And saving up my pennies for an MCX 128.
There you go. It's good to have plans and goals in life. So that's awesome.
Yes.
We have with us friend of the show, Nick Marrota. How are you, Nick?
I'm good. How are you doing, man?
Good. And you are in somewhere in the French-speaking part of Canada, right?
No, I'm very close. I'm in Ottawa, which is right on the border of Ontario and Quebec.
Okay. And have you been able to do your homework assignment and translate to us the CoCo Do lyrics?
I have not yet. I will get on that, though.
Shame on you. All right, we'll get that. We'll get that going.
I don't want the Quebec French language police after us. So.
Yes. Well, welcome. We also have with us another nice special guest here, Steve Batson. How are you, Steve?
Doing good. Been too busy to get on here live, but decided I needed to take a break today and get on here again.
Okay, welcome back. And what rough part of the country are you in?
I'm Sacramento, California.
Sacramento, California. All right. And we have the angry Muppet himself, Richard Lorbieski. How are you, Richard?
Just filling my community service. I mean, I'm here under protest. So the longer we're here, the better off, that I can fulfill it.
That's it. You're getting your time off for good behavior, right? So sentence served, right? So another Canadian. This show would not be CoCoTALK without several.
I think it's more of a community service for the rest of us having to put up with Richard myself.
From Canada, we have L. Curtis Boyle. Hello and good eye.
Hello, everyone.
And how's it going, eh?
Pretty good, eh?
And last but not least, from the very cool and temperate Arizona.
Cool and temperate. People are making cookies in their car. Okay? That's how hot it is.
We have Ron Delvaux. How are you today,
How you
Ron?
doing?
We're doing good. So we're here. The train wreck has begun. The train is rolling. It's been another good week. So why don't we do this? Why don't we? There's a few people on the show who aren't on the show all the time. And so we'll get all of you guys to let the viewers at home know a little bit about yourself. And when you want to share your life story, let's keep it to maybe 2 minutes ish. But I'll start with Al Hartman. I'll put you on the spot. You've joined us recently for a CoCoTALK After Dark where we did a retro talk. I'm trying to add Terry Steen to the group call here. Not Terry Steen, but Paul Barton. Paul Barton, I'm trying to add you to the group call. It's not coming through. Paul T. Barton. I don't know why. It won't let me add you. I don't know if he's on an outdated version of Skype. Can't add you. All right, so we'll try that again. But, hey, Al Hartman, welcome back to the show. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I have been a TRS-80 owner since 1979 when I got my first TRS-80 Model 1. A couple years later, went to work for Radio Shack. And so I was in on the CoCo premiere coming out, all the different TRS-80 models. And I worked for Spectrum Projects for a while. And then Spectrum sent me over to Zebra Systems, and I worked with Zebra Systems, which was right next door to Colorware and Alpha Products. So I worked with those guys. So I've been around in the CoCo market quite a bit, did several Rainbow Fests as a vendor with Spectrum and Zebra.
Oh, neat.
And those were a lot of fun. I wish I could get to the, what is that? What do they call that? The last Rainbow Fest?
Last CoCo Fest.
Last CoCo Fest? Yeah, I want to get to one of those. They look like they're a lot of fun. And I just, like I said before, I just got an MC10.
Nice.
I'm beating my head against the wall, trying to get a copy of a Spectrum Projects color microterm into the library for people to be able to use. And it turns out the thing does nothing if you don't have a modem hooked up to the micro, the MC10, so that it sees the modem. So if you don't have a modem, it just hangs.
Okay. So it's a terminal program that doesn't just load up to a screen. It expects hardware.
Yeah. Well, it is definitely a terminal program.
I got a question for Mr. Hartman.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Hartman, is your wife Mary Hartman? Mary Hartman?
No, that was my aunt.
Oh.
Well, Al, are you still on the East Coast, or?
Yes, I live in Keensburg, New Jersey. Right
you might be closer to Tandy Assembly then, and actually, since you have Model 1 experience, that might make a good show for you to go to as well.
Yeah, I still have my original Model 1. Unfortunately, someone who helped me move dropped it. So it's no longer working. But I did get several other Model 1s from one from PCF and one from an estate sale, and they both work. And I have an L&W 80, which I love. I have always wanted one of those. I used to sell those. And because I worked for 2 companies that sold them, one with a Corvus hard drive and one place called Stony Clove Computer Center in Manhattan. And they sold all the Percom products, disk drives, doublers, all of that. And then we sold L&W 80s. So I've been lusting after one of those. I finally got one on eBay.
There's a question, Al. This is Bruce here. Did you say you worked for Radio Shack initially?
Yes, when I was 18.
Oh, okay.
I worked for the Kings Plaza Brooklyn Radio Shack.
Brooklyn.
Okay.
Welcome to Brooklyn Radio Shack. I got your electronics right here.
Did you ever get down to Fort Worth?
Yes, we went down. Bob Rosen and I went down for the Fort Worth Rainbow Fest.
What's Bob Rosen doing these days?
Haven't got a clue. Last I heard, he was running a company called Spectrum Sports, and he was selling autographed baseballs, sports cards, jerseys, hats, and he had gotten married and lived out in Long Island somewhere, and haven't heard from him. And
I just want to say, Al, it sounds like the bridge of the Enterprise has a problem with its mufflers, because every time you're speaking, I hear some rumbling sounds. So I don't know what the background interference is. Are you in warp drive right now? Or are you going through maybe an ion storm or something?
No, that may be my air conditioner.
Okay, all right. Yeah, you might need to call an interstellar repairman. I'm not sure if they're going to reach you on subspace frequencies, but maybe get that emergency shot out there. Very cool. Well, we're glad to have you back on the program. I'm going to get around here and get a few more intros on some of our not always guests with us, just to get them to remind us who they are and tell some people who maybe haven't seen them in the past on here. So how about we go back just a little bit, too, to Terry Steen. Terry, you've only been on a few times. You want to give us a little brief history of what you've done in the past with the CoCo and maybe what you're doing now in the retro hobby?
Right now I'm in a kind of like a reacquainting myself with it mode. But yeah, I was a teenager in the 80s and got my first CoCo in '79 and learned how to do basic and assembly. And
wait a second, you got a CoCo in '79 before they were even publicly released?
No, that was '79.
Fact check. It wasn't released till 1980, but what if?
I was in Spokane, Washington in high school, and we moved down to California, and I know I got it on the way down there.
Okay.
So that's the best I can do for giving you an exact date.
All right, close enough. Hey,
but yeah,
you ever in the basement of Tandy Center by any chance?
To help set the press or the validity, it was a 4K CoCo standard basic, and it was I think it was $425 or something like that at the Radio Shack when we got it. So it was one of the first ones off the line. But yeah, it was one of those things where it grew and I grew at the same time, because last one I actually used was a 512K CoCo 3, and then I just kind of faded out and didn't do it anymore. So lately I've been just reacquiring hardware and trying to set things up, and I was surprised when I took all my boxes out. I found out my disk drive still worked and everything. So,
wow, very cool.
Yeah, I'm kind of amazed that the stuff that I was looking at on my computer, I'm like, oh, I lost this forever, and then I also found out, well, a lot of this stuff is out there on the line now. So yeah, and I found you because you were playing Balloon Fire, which it's not the only thing I've ever done. So.
Yeah. Well, Kurt. Well, you're kind of like Steve Bjork. When we introduce you, we got to pick one of the many titles. You know, like the guy.
It's got to be Zaxxon every time.
Yeah, the guy who made insert one of many here. So.
Yeah. Well, because of the time frame, it was kind of boring. But I did Gray Lady, which was a submarine game, shooting the boats across the top, and Gunfighter, which one of the games I used to play when I'd go to the arcade. And I thought, oh, I'll just learn how to program using this thing, and that was fun because you know, it's kind of like you're doing the Cosmic Aliens. You know, it's like, oh, I have to do collision detection. And it's like, well, how do I tell if I hit the guy? And, you know, it's like, well, I'll tell by colors. So there's certain color patterns that are on the screen that I would be able to tell if I hit a guy versus a cactus and things like that. So, but after I joined the Air Force, I just kind of got out of it because I got into the PC stuff. And I figured it was gone for good, but I kept all my stuff just because I couldn't say goodbye to it. And when I found you guys, I said, well, let me start opening this stuff back up. And I'm amazed at the stuff that's out there.
It is. So are you working on anything or going to start working on anything new or revisit something old or?
Well, I'm thinking about projects, and right now I'm thinking about like refurbishment stuff. And like, you caught me opening boxes at the beginning, but like, here's my big old stack of CoCos that I've been accumulating, and I got a couple of disk drives that I want to work on. And I got a multi-pack interface. I gotta clean out a corroded contactor on it. And I got drive wire on the way. I got a couple of 6309s. Yeah.
TTL.
Well, that's what I got. I got the 6309, so I can take out my TTL and put in my CMOS now. So.
David Ladd
Stevie, I
would be
put
proud.
a link in the YouTube chat there showing his Gray Lady game.
And we've talked about this, Terry, and we got to make it more formal. But Curtis has got a list of a lot of your games that made it. Was it T&D software you had released yours through?
Yeah, I had Jarb software, T&D software, and Chromaset.
Yeah. So I think Curtis has got links to a few of those on his website, which is lcurtisboyle.com. And he's got this CoCo games list. So we would like to, at some point in time, maybe do a semi-formal interview with you and maybe look at the games and maybe have you talk about them and things like that. So we're not going to put you on the spot now, but just want to remind you about that. Maybe we can plan that down the road.
And I don't mind because it's kind of like when I did it, it was, you know, I was learning by the seat of my pants. You know, it's like get out a book. I actually, when I did machine language, I made pokes into the screen memory so I could see my program going on the screen, and then I would execute the first byte of screen memory to make my programs run and just do the data that was on the screen so I could tell what was happening. So
that's so cool.
You know, it's a whole lot different than somebody who said, oh, well, I know how to program and I know how to do assembly and sit down and start writing, you know.
Yeah.
So, It's fun. The old days was like, you know, hey, what does this do? And you just jump on it and take it for a ride.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
Terry, I'm looking at that page with your software, and Zebra Systems used to make the voice packs for Bob Rosen. So those Spectrum Project voice packs we used to make.
The voice packs?
Yeah. You don't think Bob Rosen made them, did you?
No, I didn't make the voice pack. I just did
software.
I had the voice and speech stuff going on. Oh, this is the best I can do. Let's see if I can get up there.
You have a cassette even, huh?
Yeah.
The voice
pack. This is
what
I use for my
yeah, I have that.
Voice and sound on some of my software.
Ah, neat.
I have those tapes. I've been meaning to read those in. I don't know if they're up on the archive, but I have a Spectrum voice pack. And I think I have a speech systems voice pack also.
Cool. Well, we're glad to have you here on the show, Terry. Feel free to chime in at any time. And I also want to recognize another notable addition to the panel today who's not always with us, Steve Batson. Hey, how's it going, Steve?
Doing good. Keeping busy. As far as where I started, I think This should be better for your correct time frame. I think I started around 81 when I bought my used CoCo 1 from a friend of mine. I was in the military, and I I hardware hacked the heck out of the thing. Every time I saw some kind of article or anything that I could modify it with, I did a lot of that stuff because I had electronics background. And of course, I learned a lot of programming and stuff, which I ended up getting a job at Intel. I worked at Intel for 34 years. I didn't do really, other than some of the projects I worked on, I didn't write software for them or create chips. Most of my existence there was in IT. So a couple years ago, I left Intel when they were having a layoff. I was able to do an early retirement. So now I'm in the process of trying to, since I'm still too young to get regular retirement, Social Security or any of that, I'm in the process of trying to build up a business. So that's why I haven't been on here that often. But definitely needing some more CoCo time. I just need to find more time to do it. There's so many things out there. I do have a lot of the new products, the SDC and a lot of Ed stuff, the video enhancements made. I've even got MC10 hacked up with his composite video and the 128. So I don't really use that stuff. Right now all my stuff is packed up because I'm in the process of doing some home remodeling. So any CoCo time, just chatting or using an emulator or something for right now. Cool.
Well, and I should also mention too that you have been, and I haven't been on the site in a while, but you've been mostly handling our rainbow.online website that we created, and it had a small splash. I'm not sure what's going on with the Rainbow Online lately, but you've been mostly handling that. So thank you for for at least making the effort.
Yeah, no problem. I haven't really had anybody submit anything for that. I do look at it to see if there's anything there, but it seems to be just sitting there idle for the most part. Just so many outlets for CoCo stuff.
Sure. Yeah. So we threw it out there just to see what would happen, and whatever. What's a domain name cost? $12, So not a big deal. I did notice we got a lot of Russian people signing up for that. I don't know if you're getting the emails of people. A lot of people are registering with their email addresses ending in .ru. And
they love the spam. I've been getting spam on some of my other websites that use as they find out and they just spam. So it's.
You mean there wasn't a large Russian contingent of CoCo users?
No. So cool. Thanks for being back with us, Steve. And then now we're going to save the best for last because he's never been on the show before. We've got a CoCoTALK virgin in our midst. We have with us right now Mr. Nick Marrota. How are you, Nick?
Oh, way too much hype. Way overhyped. Doing great.
Forgot the drum roll.
Yeah, come on, man.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Well, it's better than the flush.
Yeah.
So yeah, I found you. I found your videos, your CoCo video game videos, as a lot of people did, and that's how I found you, Steve. And been joining your program, watching anyway in YouTube for a while, and here I am today. I had a CoCo. I started off with a CoCo 1 when I was in like grade 10. Back in the 80s, and somehow migrated to a CoCo 2. I had a buddy who worked at Radio Shack, and I think he somehow got me a trade-in on a CoCo 2. I don't remember buying it. And then I got a CoCo 3, and stupidly got rid of my CoCo 2 and CoCo 3 when I moved out of my parents' house, and wished I had them back again. So anyway. Well, CoCo 3 actually didn't work anymore, but the CoCo 2 did. But yeah, so I developed a love of programming. I programmed in BASIC and a little bit of assembler, and then went on to do university computer science, and I'm a software developer. So,
wow. What are you developing in now? What's the modern?
Java.
Java. Okay.
Not my favorite.
That's one next to the MC10. I think that's one of Steve Bjork's favorite things too, is Java. So.
Actually, I was actually going to buy an MC10 back. My buddy who worked at Radio Shack talked me out of it and told me to get a CoCo instead. So he saved my life, basically.
Yeah. So,
that's a real friend.
Yeah. Do you
friends
think
don't have friends don't have friends buy MC10s?
Yeah.
Even when drunk.
That's a great quote. Friends don't let friends buy MC10s. Matter of fact, that's going to be a retro swag T-shirt. I'm going to.
Boy, I guess that means I don't have any friends.
Then we just need to get Steve Bjork and Jim Gary wearing one and then like sitting next to each other.
If we can't make it happen for real, we'll at least Photoshop that son of a bitch, right? So
it goes right along with, this is your brain. This is your brain on MC10. Any questions?
Right. So what do you do now? Do you have real hardware now, Nick?
No, I play around a little bit with the emulator.
Yeah.
That's all I do for now. I've been looking at CoCos, just seeing what's out there to get another one again, or I don't know. I'm also interested in like CoCoPie, if that's a
yeah, that's a thing. I have one. Yeah.
So I want to get some sort of hardware again.
Yeah, mine's been sitting here staring me in the face, and I have it. I've used it twice just to see how it works, and I really haven't taken too much advantage of the CoCoPie. It's a neat little thing, and I do speak to Ron Klein every now and then, and Ron Klein and I have only been talking about this for, I don't know, a year and a half now, but I'm like, Ron, we got to get you on here on a Saturday to talk about the CoCoPie project. Ron Klein's kind of the mastermind behind putting all these pieces together. And he's a busy guy, and I get it, but it's like I could possibly show it, I could possibly demo it, but I'm not going to do it any justice. It would be great to get Ron to really talk about it and all the moving pieces, because there's so much going on with that CoCoPie. Not only is it an emulator, but it's also a drive-wire server, drive-wire. It's an MC server, so if you have the MCX 128, you could plug into this with the serial cable and feed MC10 stuff over to your MCX 128, which is like their version of drive-wire. There's just a lot of stuff that it does, and we really need somebody who knows this to really talk about it properly. So hopefully we'll get Ron Klein on here one day to really do a proper CoCo. I see Ron Delvaux over there. Yeah, messing with his CoCoPie, so it's neat. But I know without Ron Klein, we're really not gonna be able to do it justice. But so hopefully one of these days we'll be able to show that. And there is a new update coming. I know there's a new MAME update coming to Raspbian, and I know there's talks of possibly updating the project to work on the CoCoPie, or what is it called, the Raspberry Pi 3B, which is the newer, faster one. So there's a few things around the corner.
Yeah, I want to try MAME. I haven't tried MAME for CoCo. I use MAME for video arcade emulation, but I've never tried it for CoCo emulation yet.
Yeah. Well, when you say you use the emulator, which of the emulators do you use?
Well, MAME is a big monolith, right, of everything.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I think the last version of MAME I got was before they merged with MES, so it might actually still be just straight MAME.
Okay.
I haven't kept up with the versions. But yeah, for the CoCo, I had all the toys. I had the multi-pack interface, and I had two floppy drives, and the CM8 monitor, and the DMP printer, and oh man, all this stuff I got rid of. So stupid.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Regrets, right?
Joysticks, deluxe joysticks, and makes me mad every time I watch the show.
Right, what if you could
We're
go
here to
back
piss you
in
off.
time?
That's
and,
great.
The show that makes you angry.
Yes.
Just kidding. Just regrets. That's all.
Well, we're glad to have you here, and just so everybody knows, I know I mentioned this, and so if you're watching us live right now and you read the description of this video, there is a link on how you can join us on Skype, right? So you can add us as a Skype contact, and you can join us on Skype. And just judging by the majority of the people on here, obviously we don't have very high standards of who we'll let on the show. So
thank you very much. You're really welcome.
But no, I've always thought of this show as, this is the democracy. This is the show for the people, by the people, and and everybody's welcome to be on here. There's no you don't have to have a resume to be on the show, and I'm not saying you do to be on any other show either. But we're not playing exclusive favorites here. We're only going to let the A-list people on the show. It's a good mix of everyone, so we encourage and invite everyone to join us, and we're glad that you're here today, Nick, and please join us again. Diego, you keep calling us, and Diego, let me just see if I can answer Diego real quick on my thing. Diego, can you hear me? I'm trying to answer him on my phone. So Diego's calling us, and oh, you know why? Because I don't know why my phone still thinks it's connected to Bluetooth somewhere. Anyways, Diego, if you can hear me, which you can't because my Bluetooth headset's not in the same room, you gotta call us on the updated version of Skype. So yeah, as I was talking about Skype, so yeah, you can call us on Skype. In order to call us on Skype, two things need to happen. You need to add us as a contact, because I can't add somebody to a group call who's not already connected to the CoCoTALK account. But you also have to be on the latest version of Skype for either mobile or desktop or browser. But if you've got an outdated version of Skype, they won't talk to each other. And I'm not sure how Diego's trying to call us right now, but I can't bring him in. So I do apologize, Diego. If anybody can get a message out to Diego, keep trying.
This is also the place where they the judges sentence people to do community service as well. So
yeah, if you need, if you've done something wrong, you're going to be on this show here as part of your punishment. All right, so how about we do this? How about we do? We're going to take a moment here to recognize some of our sponsors. We're about a half hour into this train wreck already. We're going to recognize some of our. So Diego says, I just tried calling the latest one. Oh, maybe I need to accept your friend request. Hold on, Diego. Oh, that's the deal here. Add to contacts. Okay, my bad, Diego. Okay, Diego, I just accepted your friend request. So try it again. And while we're doing that, let's take a look at some of our sponsors, and then we'll take a commercial break, and then we'll actually start the actual show, a show about nothing, right? So. I still can't answer your call, Diego. I can't answer it. I don't know why. All right, but let's look at our sponsors. Okay, so we want to recognize the people out there who are making stuff for us in the community, like the CoCo VGA project at CoCoVGA.com. We want to recognize Troll Jr., Richard Lorbieski at BoysonTech.com, website that now actually has content and products on it for you to order. When you've done ordering the Boyson Tech technologies, you can then return them to Retro Innovations at retro.com. Just click on the return button. Say Richard.
I think we should just call him Troll Senior to make him feel old.
Thank you.
Serving the color computer community for over 20 years with quality hardware products. We have Cloud9 Technologies at cloud9tech.com. Very cool do-it-yourself project. If you would like to make a self-booting SD card for your CoCo SDC, visit sdpack.com. If you do not already have a switcheroo, the second greatest invention for the color computer next to the CoCo SDC, you want to visit cocoman.biz or coco3scartcable.com. Get yourself a switcheroo today. Are we on Roku, Ron Delvaux?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so we are streaming live on Roku on the CoCo TV channel. Thank you to Roger Taylor. You can get yourself some cool CoCo merchandise and T-shirts, coffee mugs, and more at the Retro Swag Shop at 8bit256.com. I think there's a promo coming up with free shipping or 15% off or something. So there's some type of promo in the near future if you visit that site. Now, many people have said this. I've heard this enough times that if only there was a website that had some information about the color computer where we could go to and maybe, know what's going on. And, if only I had maybe created this for maybe 2 years ago and have been trying to promote this for maybe 2 years now. But there is a website called IMACoconut.com. And if you've got a project or a website that you want us to update and add to that, feel free to contact me. Let me know. So IMACoconut.com, your one-stop shop for all your color computer needs. Here at CoCoTALK, if you'd like to reach us on the show, you can just visit the website cocotalk.live. There you have our email address, links to the Facebook page, all that good stuff. Let's not forget the CoCo Crew podcast, the original, often imitated, never duplicated, cococrew.org for all your CoCo Crew podcast needs. Our good friend, fellow Australian Nick Marentes' neighbor, Brian Joyce of Extructus Productions at FD501.com. And we must all now bow down and pay homage to the hardware deity, the man, the myth, the legend, Ed Snyder, the Zipster, who makes all the hardware that people want. Visit the zipsterzone.com, ZIPPSTER zone.com. All right, there we go. We've gotten all those plugs out of the way. I just hope my computer doesn't blue screen again. You guys still with me?
Yeah, we're waiting for TRS-80 to be played. We're here.
All right, so we're back. All right, so that was So Diego says I'm probably stuck with some South American versions of Skype. So I'm not sure how you're running Skype, Diego, if you're doing it on the desktop or Linux or whatever, but you got to have the latest version. All right, we're going to run a commercial break for about a minute and a half, and we'll be back, and then we'll actually start the show. Thank you all for being here. We'll be back in just a little bit, people.
Hi, this is Sean Wheatley, and you're listening to CoCoTALK with the original gamer, Stevie Strow.
We'll return after these messages.
Hi, I'm Bruce Moore, and this is Jacob Moore. Gotcha. And we are the Forest of Doom guys, and the CoCo Forever guys, and we're at CoCo Fest, and we love Stevie Strow.
What if, knowing what I know now, I could go back in time, join Tandy Corporation, and change the course of history? CoCo Forever.
How does it feel? I'm still believing.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me. It's original gamer Stevie Strow. You know, gameplay. To get your copy of a Gameplay Goodness Color Computer Gaming DVD today, head on over to 8bit256.com. There you will find several DVDs featuring color computer gameplay videos by the original gamer Stevie Strow. So to get your very own copy of a Gameplay Goodness Color Computer Gaming DVD, head on over to the Retro Swag Shop at 8bit256.com and tell them the original gamer Stevie Strow sent you.
Oh, it's the beginning of the dumpster fire commercial.
Let the Radio Shack TRS-80 put the world of color computing into your home. Instant loading program packs turn any color TV into an exciting game arcade. And there's more. The color computer is an educational aid, a home management tool, and up-to-the-minute electronic information service. The programmable, expandable TRS-80 color computer from $399 only at Radio Shack, the biggest name in little computers.
All right, and we're back, everybody. And we've just been joined by David Ladd has joined us. And Mark Overholser, who is currently camping at a Starbucks, has joined us. Hey, Mark, how's it going, eh? And David, how are you, David?
Oh, I'm doing fine.
And Diego. Diego has just passed through customs and been able to join us on Skype. Hey, Diego, how are you?
And David, how are you, David?
You need to mute the sound because it's coming through twice. Somebody just introduced an echo loop to us, but put on headphones or mute the sound on YouTube or whatever's going on. But welcome, Diego. Diego, you still with us?
Yep. I hope I am. But put on headphones or mute the sound on YouTube.
Yeah, we're getting an echo here. I'm not sure who's giving us that echo. Diego, do you have headphones on by any chance?
I'm trying to mute everything. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay, that's good.
We hear you, and I don't hear the echo anymore. Good. All right, cool.
So we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No dumpster fire is complete without David Ladd here now. So.
Jay Searle's here. It's not after dark, so we can't tell him to go F himself, right? Or can we? And here's Diego. Go, Diego, go. Welcome to the program. Diego.
Thank you.
For those of you who have never met Dora the Explorer's cousin Diego, here he is. How are you, Diego?
Doing great. Very happy to be here with everybody.
Yeah.
Diego, did we have lunch with you at CoCo Fest?
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Yeah.
Fun.
Diego joined us for the pizza joint. I think he came with us to one of the lunch runs too, to the hamburger hot dog place. Yeah. Cool. Well, we're glad you got through customs. We got Skype let you through, Border Patrol let you through. You're here. You're on the show. We will talk about today if you want. We have a new segment that you can help us launch, which will talk about what you're doing on your program. You put out that little thing on Facebook about your game with the cats and everything. So if you want to talk about that in a little bit today, we'd love to get that discussion going. So for those of us who don't know who Diego is, other than watching your adventure series on the Dora Explorer channel, do you want to give us maybe a small little backstory on what you did back in the day with retro machines when they were new, and maybe what you're doing now in the retro hobby?
Yeah, sure. Well, as some of you may know, I'm from Uruguay in South America. So I'm from the other down in the country. I started with a CoCo 1 taking logo lessons back in like, 83 or something like that. And every day after class, I will stay playing Saxon until...
You still there, Diego? Uh-oh. Border Patrol might have just jumped in here. We might have lost him. Is he back? Are you back?
Diego? I am. Okay.
You're back. Okay. There we go.
Okay. So my father had to trade the 16K CoCo for a 64K very soon. So I could have... I'm going to shut the video. I think it's... I don't have enough bandwidth for that. And, well, I got the 64K CoCo. I learned BASIC with it. I never really went past that. And I never had a PC until the 95 or 96. So I kept CoCoing all those years. I always had my CoCo with me. And, you know, I never stopped actually writing programs for it. When I was living in the States... some 15 years ago, I finally was able to start buying stuff. I got my Super IDE and memory expansion and stuff like that. And that was great. It gave me a whole new world into the CoCo. At some point, I had like 5 machines with 2 monitors, printer, modem, disk drives, everything like that. Now I don't have all that much stuff, but I'm still having good enough. And, you know, I try to keep writing, keep creating things with the CoCo as far as I can.
Yeah. Very cool. Yeah, and you've been showing off some of your stuff on Facebook. So you have the one kind of Minesweeper looking game that you've been showing with us. It looks really nice. And then you were showing us your cat game right now too. So, you know, we can maybe take a look. Maybe we'll pull up your website in a little bit and maybe show off some of the projects that you have, but very cool stuff. Yeah, we're definitely an international community, right? When we have Australia here, we've got Canada, we've got South America, we've got Mark Overholser in a Starbucks wearing. At least he's wearing his CoCoTALK shirt there. So
we got Davey Mitchell in chat from Scotland too.
Scotland. What kind of shite show is this that we're playing it in Scotland? Hey, Davey Mitchell, how are you? And we got. Nick
and the Republic of Texas too. Don't forget that.
Republic of Texas. Only two things in Texas.
Seeing Mark without his hat.
Yeah. So Mark, where are you camping that has a conveniently located Starbucks nearby? Are you? Do you not have a microphone? Are we doing sign language today? Today, especially for the audio podcast version, Mark Overholser is signing us right now. So. This is nothing screams professional show like
it's the sign of desperation.
Nice. Brian Joyce just joined us. Extructus Production says good morning from Australia. Who else is in our live chat right now? So Tim Franklin is here. John Linville. when the show crashed, John Linville says CoCoTALK Blues. When Jim Brain Retro Innovation says CoCoTALK Nirvana when the show crashed again. Tim Franklin was here. Al Hartman was in the chat. Boyce on Tech. Paco Atakte. Terry Steen. Dr. X0079 is here. Hey, Doctor. Disney Saints fan is here. Terry Steen is here. Tim Franklin. Who else is here? Grant Leighty is here in the live chat. Al Hartman's in the live chat. Diego's in the live chat. Sixie is here. Hey, Sixie. Karen Anscombe in the UK is here. Davey Mitchell is here from sunny Scotland. So, yeah. So Nick Marrota says, "Oh, when the show crashed, I was like a rat hitting the bar for my next pellet."
Reload.
Yeah. So very cool, hitting the bar for my next pellet. That's funny. All right, so we're here. So we have Scotland in the house. We are truly a global community, which is great. All right, so we've gotten through the introductions. We got Mark Overholser here. Mark is muted. And this is Jim Brain's favorite part of the show, is the Mark Overholser segment here, the sound of silence. So, all right. So what's going on this week in the world of CoCo? Last week, so we are on the podcast downloads. We are almost at like 20. What did I say we were at? 2,900. I forgot. 2,500. Hold on, I'll tell you. Yeah, so we're almost at 9,500 downloads for our podcast. In last week's show, between YouTube and audio and video downloads, we broke 300. The assembly talk was pretty popular last week. I would say we had a really good live viewing the whole time. All right, so we're at like just about 9,500 downloads on the show. We got some good feedback last week too, going back to the episode. So we did play a clip from the band TRS-80, which I did get copyright flagged for, despite getting verbal and written permission to use it. But whatever. Screw you, YouTube. So, but Dr. X was saying, I used to listen to TRS-80. They're kind of sort of abstract hip-hop. He did mention that you play a track called Tinted and Cliff Evans. So we'll look for that for those of you who want to check out the TRS-80 band. We also got some more comments today on last week's show. Best show ever. Statler and Waldorf is what Rob Inman says. So on our assembly talk from last week, which was also hardware discussions, Dr. X also says I need my assembly language lesson. So we have some people looking forward to the assembly series, which are going to be starting soon. And we have Steve Bjork has been doing his segment too. So good numbers from last week, good feedback from last week. So that was kind of cool. I know one of the things I do want to talk about, because we do talk about Discord. We were talking about Skype earlier, and I think I've explained Skype, right? You need to add us as a contact on Skype. And then you should be able to join the show, but you need to be on the latest version of the Skype contact client. But we also talk about our Discord channel, right? And so, and we're having a lot of fun in Discord. So what I thought I would do real quick is just show you, well, where do you need to go to get Discord? Well, you can get Discord on a mobile device. So if you have an iPhone or an Android, whatever, you can get Discord there from your app store. If you have a computer, you can go to the website. It's called discordapp.com. And Discord can run on a browser, and Discord can run as a client. And this is what the Discord client looks like. And this is our channel. This is our CoCo channel here. And you'll notice here on the left, we've got a lot of different text channels. We've got one channel called General, right? And here's Davey Mitchell, who just put out here that he's updated the semi-graphics editing tool. So that's kind of cool. We've got a general channel that we're chatting in. We've got one channel for CoCoTALK that we chat in, right? We've got one called Off Topic, right? So we've got all these different chat channels here on the side. So this is kind of like an IRC chat for those of you who are remember IRC chat. And there's a lot of discussions that continue to go on here. Questions get answered. Information is shared. And then we've got several different voice channels that we can join. And so we've got a voice channel that's just called General. And a lot of times we're just on here and any hour of the day or the night in general chat. If people want to talk about development, they can get on their own little channel and have a development conversation. And the cool thing about Discord, which is a little bit different than Skype, is you could have multiple different voice channels happening at the same time, right? So if you call it a Skype group call, everybody's in the same group call. But with Discord, we've got topics for voice and for text discussions on a variety of different things. And so there's a link to join our Discord server. And that link is posted in the description of this video. So if you're watching the video, somewhere down here in the description of the video, I do have in here the link to our Discord server, which is right here. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and I'll post that link in the live chat too. For those of us who are watching us live, we have a little inception moment here. But if you want to join the Discord server, all you have to do is get the Discord app installed. And then there's just a lot of stuff going on, a lot of conversations taking place. And just to give you an idea of some things that have happened, before we switched to Discord and we were on Skype, there, we started a Skype group for us to have CoCoTALK. And then what happened quite unplanned was these conversations kept going, right? So Skype lets you do a text chat too. So we had a Skype channel and a Skype conversation that just went on forever. And one of the things that happened in there was Rick Adams getting back into programming and making Bomb Threat, right? So Rick Adams' new game kind of happened by just chatting in the Skype channel and a few people saying, here's how you can do this and here's how you can do that. And that became the impetus for Bomb Threat, which, to get created, and the rest is history, right? And so a lot of those discussions are happening right now. People who are working on projects who have, questions and answers. Hey, how do I create random numbers in assembly? We've got an assembly channel, things like that. So a lot of discussions take place both audibly and textually. And Discord is where all the cool people are. So you want to check it out, right? Did I miss anything there, guys?
Don't think so.
Yeah, so
that covers it for me.
Yeah, so I think we keep mentioning at the end of every show, join us on Discord, but at least now we have done. Oh, so here's Ed Snyder says the CoCo Discord server is great. Just started using it, and I'm looking forward to using it a lot more. And it'd be even more great, Ed, if you joined us on the show on Skype at some point in time, right? We got to get Ed Snyder on here and actually talk to him rather than playing message relay here.
Yeah, we need to get him on at a CoCo Fest too.
Yeah, we need to get so how about we do this, because we don't have a topic today.
Do we ever? Oh,
yes. Sorry. Well, we did last week, right? Last week's show, we had our Steve Bjork segment, Assembly, part 2, and our topic was hardware talk. And I think that exceeded my expectations as far as how long we talked, the number of things we talked about, the number of people who were with us the whole time, the amount of views we've gotten. So what do you guys think of last week's discussion on hardware talk? And, if you want to reminisce or add to that.
I think we pretty well covered it, unless some of the people that are new on here have some of their own ideas they want to put forward.
Well, I'm not asking to add more hardware discussions, but just the fact that we had this really, really long talk, and a lot of things, we did cover a lot of things, and it was almost a 4-hour show, whole 9 yards. I was blown away, honestly, by how long we went, and we probably could have kept going.
Yep.
And it's kind of interesting, I think, because we're listening to the latest CoCo crew and list some of the topics that we have been talking about. There's this kind of poetry in some respects of the things that we're talking about, which is happening completely unplanned. But when John Linville had done that State of the CoCo roundtable that some of us were on, some of the discussions we got into there were about CoCo hardware, and we've got a lot of CoCo hardware, but we need some developers for it, things like that. So those discussions took place. Some of the discussions on the CoCo crew were talking about, how do you stay motivated on a project? And everybody on the show shared their takes on that, and we had that discussion not too long ago. So it's kind of neat to listen to both shows and hear that a lot of us are thinking along the same lines. And so, we've got our talking heads here that are sharing our 2 cents on some of these topics, and then we've got the CoCo crew, and we're listening to some of them share their, kind of versions of what's going on there. So I think it's neat that we have this kind of symmetry going on with what we're talking about in the community and hardware and projects and things like that. So I just noticed some of those kind of parallels.
Yeah, I agree. We kind of the 2 shows actually kind of feed off each other, because they'll come up with something that spurs us to think of something in the same direction. Maybe not even necessarily the exact same topic, but we'll kind of go off on a tangent and vice versa. So it's nice to have that constant feedback loop between the 2 shows.
Yeah. And I don't know if we welcome Paul Barton. Paul, did we say hi to you when you joined us?
I don't remember. I was having trouble getting my new headset fixed up here.
Oh, you sound super clear.
Yeah, you sound a lot clearer.
Yeah. Thanks to a nice donation from somebody in the community.
Nice. It sounds great.
Yeah.
It'd be really good though if you could have somebody maybe open and close the door about every minute and a half, and maybe slam it a few times. That would be nice.
Oh, okay, yeah. I got the dog to bark. Yeah,
yeah. Make sure you get Stevie's fingers in that door too. So.
Maybe you don't need those fingers.
Maybe we'll get.
You don't have an MC10 to hold the door open.
No, I don't have one of those.
Maybe we can get. We can get.
Fit under the door. CX81.
We'll get James Diffendaffer with his train whistle, or Curtis has got some construction going on there. Or this would not be an episode of CoCoTALK without background noise, or maybe somebody throwing up. I got to find the right button here. Yeah,
it's kind of hard to duplicate a sound.
Yeah, there we go. There's James Diffendaffer's train going by. So, good time. There's a real drill, it sounds like. Yeah, but I think last week's show really, to me, exceeded my expectations. And for a while, it really felt like, I think at the core, the thing I wanted to, the message I wanted to convey was really, number one, if somebody's working on a project, let's not crap all over their project, regardless of anything. Let's make sure we're supportive of other people's efforts. And then it was kind of good to get this question out. Well, what do you think about choice, and what do you think about competition, and this and that and the other? So I think we covered a lot of bases. And obviously we had a lot to say because it just went on for a while. And so I think it was definitely a good show. And I think we had for almost 4 hours. And we had, 30 people or more with us the whole time. So we kind of kept the interest of the viewers. So I think it was really a highlight of what we've been doing here so far for this thing that we do,
Yep, agreed.
So I want to say thank you to everybody who contributed to the discussion, as well as everybody who was with us along for the ride. It is really interesting, kind of like what Terry Steen was saying and a few of us are saying. It's amazing that that these machines are still here and that they still work. People are still using them as they are. But I also think it's kind of neat that we have all these add-ons to them. And I've heard in our introductions, we heard a lot of people say, listen, I got the composite modification, or I got this memory add-on, or I've got this, or I've got that. And it's an interesting time where we have some modern enhancements to our retro systems. And I know this kind of starts to cross a threshold in some people's minds of when does it become value added? When is it an enhancement? When are we not becoming a CoCo? And I think most of the things that we talked about so far, between like your switcheroo cable, which lets you use a modern display, CoCo SDC, memory add-ons, composite mods, I don't think any of those make a CoCo not a CoCo. People have different opinions on should it be pure, should it be natural and stuff, but it's really cool that this stuff exists, and it's been eye-opening for me. And we have people like Ed Snyder and Richard Lorbieski and Jim Brain and Jason and all these guys who make these different hardware products, and it's just cool, right?
Yep, and to be honest, I mean, that's been the CoCo spirit since day one. I mean, the CoCo had a really good hardware market back in its heyday too. I mean, we had expansion boards with 6 and 8 slots even back then, before Tandy even brought theirs out. From as Al would know from Colorware and Alpha Products, they had their own. And everybody, I mean, Hot CoCo and Rainbow always had these hardware projects, put it in a lowercase switch if you added a lowercase kit, and inverse video and CPU halters and all kinds of stuff. So it's always been a hacker's machine. Yeah. And to me, this is just continuing the heritage. It's not any really change. It's just we've got cheaper, more modern hardware we can hook up to now, but we would have been doing this back in the day if it was affordable, to put these add-ons on. Like hard drives, when they first came up, were $5,000 for a CoCo. I mean, they existed, but who could afford that? And then the Burke and Burke brought it down to PCXT prices, and now we've got CoCo SDC even cheaper yet. So it's just following the same trend we've always been on since 1980.
Interesting take there. And as a guy who's got a lot of hardware, Ron Delvaux, what do you think about the fact that we've got these modern doodads to add to our retro thingamajiggies?
Well, since I'm 64.
Well, shut it.
Well, to tell you the truth, I have this thing I can show you here quick. I'm going to share my screen. See if you can see this.
Like it or not.
Yeah, like it or not. This is a list of some of the things back in the 80s that were hardware oriented that Tony DiStefano put in Rainbow magazines, 1983, 84. I don't know. Can you read them?
Yeah.
Yep.
See the interesting things that they were concerned about back then?
Green on black.
What is
video.
a finger saving circuit? Was there a problem with severed fingers with the CoCo?
That was from playing a game and having a repeat fire button or something.
Oh, I thought it was a bionic finger. Okay.
No. So they were concerned about. Well, the CoCo 2B came out back here. Oops, and they were interested in the lowercase that was available. Oops, I went way past it. Oh, man. I have no control.
Today on CoCoTALk, Ron
Yeah,
Delvaux
really.
loses track of a PDF.
Let's do it this way, nice and slow. Talked about this drive. That was something that we love from Mr. Ladd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Floppy talk. Part
But,
1.
On the second page here, if I can just crank it up. Up, it ain't there.
A lot of
I already
double
passed
entendres
it.
here. I don't know.
Anyway, this is a full turn of the screw.
Yeah.
Everybody can get the PDF online. It's a cool thing.
Yeah. So we've been obsessed with hardware hacks, as Curtis said, since the
Right from day one.
since the dawn of time, apparently. Right.
Yep.
Well, I remember 68 Microjournal, which was a magazine back in 1980. 81 actually started covering the color computer just because they came out with a 68OX or 68XX based system, and one of their first articles was how to put tape over the cartridge slots so you could copy the cartridges. And I guess Tandy wasn't too happy with that, but that was one of the very earliest hardware hacks.
Mr. Bjork doesn't like it either. You mentioned
What?
that.
You could do that?
Really? We gotta do a tech segment on that. So,
Like, what brand of tape should you use? Could it be see-through, or can you just use opaque?
Well, since he isn't here, we can cover it right now. Uh-oh.
Yeah. So, you know what I forgot to get into?
That ship has sailed.
Yeah. We didn't go over project updates. So let me ask the question, does anybody have a project update you want to share? And if you do, what I'll do is I'll take a commercial break and then I'll get to you when we come back. But does anybody have a project update or anything that they came across this week they want to share with the group?
I have one very brief one.
Okay. So Jason's got one. Anybody else? Anything you've been working on that you want to share with us this week?
Well, I'll talk a little bit about OmniStar.
Okay. All right. Well, we've got a few nodding heads here for those of you listening on the podcast later on, if you heard some rattling. So a few people nodded their heads that they have a project update they want to share. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another commercial block here. So I'm going to give everybody a minute and a half or so to go, smoke them if you got them, drain them if you have to. And we'll be back in just a few and we'll hear some project updates. And CoCoTALk will return. Sorry, Jim Brain.
Hi, this is Max Jackson live from CoCo Fest. And you listen to The Real Gamer, Stevie Strow.
Turn you to CoCoTALk.
Hey everybody, this is Bill Noble, co-author of Nitrous 9. You are listening to CoCoTALk Live, the leading live CoCoTALk show.
G'day, mates. This is Nick Marionettes, author of such color computer titles as Donut Disaster, Rupert Rhymes, and Rockstar Pilot. And I am here today to tell you about the world's most fabulous operating system, OS 9. OS 9 and its current incarnation, Nitrous 9, is the most advanced operating system ever created. And what makes it so good? Ease of use. I find OS 9 so incredibly intuitive that I haven't once cracked open the user manual, and yet I've been able to create such incredible games faster than the time it takes to sing Waltzing Matilda. Using OS 9, I expect my next game, Funstar, will be done this weekend and distributed exclusively on ROM cartridge. OS 9 forever.
Any resemblance to actual events to persons living or dead is purely coincidental.
What's going on, everybody? The original gamer Stevie Strow here, and I want to talk to you about I'mACoconut.com. If you love the color computer like I love the color computer, then you got to visit I'mACoconut.com, your one-stop shop for all of your Tandy color computer links needs. There you'll find links to blogs and podcasts and project sites and emulators and downloads and groups and communities. If you love the color computer, head on over to I'mACoconut.com. That's I-M-A, Coconut.com. Tell them the original gamer Stevie Strow sent you. CoCo forever, people.
It's a Radio Shack Merry Christmas.
This year, I needed to give a real family pleaser.
Honey, please, help me with this budget.
How about a new game, Dad? Please.
And I found it. Radio Shack's Color Computer 2. On sale for just $99.95. It entertains, educates, manages, it's expandable, and affordable. Now that really pleases me.
The Color Computer 2. Sale priced for Christmas. Only at Radio Shack.
Only at Radio Shack. All right, so I'm waiting for the software to come back here. There we go. Boom. We're back. All right, so we're back after the annoying commercial break, and I'm getting a seizure watching Ron Delvaux whip his camera around in 987 degrees. So we had a few people who said they had a project update, so we'll start with the star of the CoCo community, Mr. Switcheroo himself, Jason, the CoCo man. So what's going on in your world, Jason?
Well, I just wanted to mention a brief thing that I'm running through. Well, if you're watching live, but I'm running through the 8th, all the way through the end of 8th of this month here, a couple days. The Switcheroo $5 off.
There we go.
And I got it here in the background, and I got Gray Leighty.
Gray Leighty
in the background there, and it's artifact goodness.
The irony of that is that as we get older, our wives become gray ladies.
Don't tell them that.
I won't even bring trying to line up for a pine box there, Stevie, or what?
I may not be able to stay on here.
Not as long as there's hair dye.
Yeah, I got smart. I married young. I married someone younger than me. So, all right.
You're a mother effer too, right?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Yeah, remember that from Father's Day.
Yeah.
CoCoMan.biz.
CoCoMan.biz. $5 off the Switcheroo Shark Cable. Get yourself a Shark Cable today. Rick Adams said he had a project update. He's going to update us on OmniStar, his current project he's working on.
Well, just briefly, I wanted to say, related to something you were saying earlier, I'm really appreciative of how I re-entered the whole community and the whole scene. It was welcoming and so helpful, especially since it had been so long. I didn't know a whole.
You're breaking up a little bit, Rick.
Pretty fast, but I had to ask a lot of questions. Okay. I had to all this stuff that I'd forgotten. And everybody was so welcoming and asked a lot of, and everybody was perfect. It's weird for me. It's like,
hey, Rick.
It's the other way.
Rick, hold on 1 second. Hey, can I get everybody to kill their cameras for just a second here, because we're having a bandwidth issue, and I know Rick is talking. It sounds like we're in a drive-through right now, trying to order some Tim Hortons. All right, so we've just killed the Rick. Can you try it again?
Hello. I'd like a 4-piece chicken strip meal with Polynesian sauce.
Okay.
Perfect.
Better.
And a giant diet lemonade. Okay, that's better.
Yeah,
Okay.
so maybe just rewind about a minute or so. Sorry about that.
Right.
But I would like everybody to
Okay.
hear you clearly.
Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to say that I was so appreciative of how everybody was so welcoming and so helpful when I rejoined the community, and I didn't know a whole lot. I did pick it up kind of fast because of my background, but I had to ask a lot of really dumb questions, and everybody was cool with that. And I go to conventions, and people come up to me and say, "Oh my gosh, it's Rick Adams. Sign my Temple of Rom cartridge, please." And as I'm doing it, it just feels so strange to me and so backwards, because to me, you guys are my heroes. The people behind the whole Cocoa Pi 3 thing and the CoCo SDC, these two things have changed my life. Because back in the day, I'm doing to turn around a coding change and to see what it looks like took at least 20 minutes. And now during this call, I've just been frantically making probably about 20 changes to my OmniStar game and throwing it up and see what it looks like. And it's like, oh, that's not quite right. Let me try that again. And 2 minutes later, I'm looking at it again. So it's just a whole different world. So, and the last couple of days, I've made a lot of progress on my OmniStar game. And so it's getting to the point where it's almost actually playable. Matter of fact, I was playing it and I was getting my butt kicked earlier. So so that's my update.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And thanks for sharing that with us. Yeah, it really has been. And I hate to sound corny and I hate to sound cliche, but we throw out that word community a lot, and it sounds like such a cheesy thing to say. But I mean, it's very obvious by just looking at all these people on my screen right now and everybody who's in our chat and all the things that happen. There really is a sense of community, and like Rick is saying, you've known assembly, but you hadn't done it in a while. And you say you ask a lot of dumb questions, but they weren't dumb questions, I'm sure. It's the old saying: the only dumb question is the one you don't ask, right? But you needed some refreshers and reminders on a few things.
I have a counterexample. I have a counter.
Go ahead.
Example. Officer, are you giving me a warning like the last 3 times I've been stopped here, or are you going to actually give me a ticket? That would be one dumb question. Another dumb question.
We're getting some bandwidth problems again.
Interview. Oh, we are? Okay.
No.
How good are your mental health benefits?
How good are your mental like during a job interview, how good are your mental health benefits?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll mute now.
So what is your feeling about psychopaths? Yeah. That'd be a bad one to ask.
Yeah. So it's great that we have everybody here who is just willing to share and be that whole sense of community. Well, a lot of things happen in Discord, and another thing they talked about this month on the CoCo Crew podcast was it? Would they talk about the CoCo Fest Blues this month on the CoCo Crew podcast? I think they were talking about that.
They did.
Yeah. And so I think everybody has their version of what it means from the CoCo Fest Blues. To me, it felt like a withdrawal system, because CoCo Fest has only been once a year. You've got like that 3 months leading up to CoCo Fest, all that excitement and anticipation. You've got the 2 days that you're there, and it's very social, and you get to hang out with everybody, and it's very electric. And then you come back to your normal lives, and it just seems like, oh man, the excitement of us all feeling together and connected, that excitement starts to fade off until next year. And I think that's probably how it was for a long time. But I think what we've been able to do to maybe take the edge off of that is like shows like this, where we're getting together every week and keeping the conversations alive, keeping that sense of community alive. And Discord is really happening daily. I mean, there are times where I've said, I'm like, I got to hang up. I'm like, guys, it's midnight. I'm tired. I got to go to bed. But everybody's on there just talking you know. And so we really are having daily conversations. So that feeling of community and connectiveness, I think, is possibly helping to alleviate CoCoFest blues to an extent. And maybe that's just my wishful thinking there. But I think there's less withdrawals when we never really don't spend time together anymore, you know?
I have Tandy Assembly blues because I'm not going to be going there this year.
Ah, yeah. So, what just
kind of
happened
blue
here?
about that.
Who just changed their screen sharing? Who just did that?
I did.
Okay.
Trying to get your attention here because you keep talking.
Yeah. Permission to hijack the show granted.
Yeah, that friendly community we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Richard Lorbieski. You have the floor.
Well, I mean, you were like saying, okay, everybody, you have projects to share or anything like that, and I was trying to get your attention, and you just kept going on and on and on and on. So, had to do the screen share. So sorry about that.
All right, there you go.
Fair enough.
Yeah. So anyway,
enough about Rick Adams. Let's talk about Richard Lorbieski now.
Oh no, I wasn't talking. No, it was you, Stevie, not. Anyway, no. One of the things I was doing is I'm taking apart a CoCo 3 motherboard. There was discussion earlier this week about removing components off old computers, and there's a couple of techniques that you can use. One of them is what they call cut the leads and then just pull the traces or pull the leads out with your soldering iron, which is usually the best practice if you don't have a vacuum solder pump like I do. And so anyway, I just demonstrated. I'm working on a project to repair a board, and so what I did was started taking apart some of the components, and then I decided, you know what, I'm just going to keep on going, and so I just kind of like overdid it. So this was the original board here, and then this is the aftermath. These are all the components that I had removed off of there. The reason I'm doing this is because I have a couple of boards that a couple of people wanted me to repair, and the traces got burned off and they were cut, and I need a something as a guide that I can use a continuity tester to check out the traces. So that was it.
Well, speaking of that, you had done one for Antonio Jimenez, right?
Yes.
Antonio Jimenez, right? And I think somebody asked a question, and I don't know that we got the answer, because he did have some traces. What did you do to fix the trace for him?
There was like 7 traces that were burned and cut, and so what I had to do, and I forgot to do after pictures, is one of the most common ones you use is you run bus wire from one pad to another, and that's what I did with his. I used just regular bus wire, and then the original traces I cut them on both ends because you don't want to have like a crosstalk or double talk phenomenon to happen. So that's what I did, and then just it booted right up just instantly.
Okay,
hey,
so
Richard.
Yes.
Is this a double layer board? Is that what they call this?
Yeah, this is a double-sided board.
Okay.
And this is a close-up of one of the. Let's see, let's do. This is like. Go ahead.
These are the trace lines here that we're seeing, like the light green against the dark green background that looks like it's connecting one hole to another hole. That's the trace line there.
Right. Yeah. This is the bottom side of the board. This one here, this particular shot, is the CPU area with the buffer that goes between the edge card connector.
Yes. Okay.
And I removed all those. This is the bottom side of it, and see,
it's so clean. It is so clean.
Yeah, what I did is it has all the flux stuff on there, and so I used an ultrasonic cleaner to clean all that off. So just to see, you see all the traces and the pads there.
Yeah, that's really nice.
So where we don't see open circles is actually something still soldered in?
Yes. Like this area right here, this is the resistor packs here. So they're soldered in. Some of these, you can see it looks like they're solder joints like here. These are what they call conduits. they're a viaduct that goes from the bottom side to the top side, or vice versa. And those usually get filled in when these things get soldered up. They go through what they call a wave machine. It's just a pool of solder that the board just glides over, and the solder clings onto it.
So, is it possible, when this is all cleaned off completely, to use that to make new boards?
Yes, it is possible, and I may do that. Not this particular one, but I have another CoCo board that I had bought a while back, and the traces are in really good shape, so I may deconstruct that one because I don't know the condition of that board, if it's going to work or not. So I may just go ahead and strip all the parts off of that one, and then it can be used as a template to build more CoCo boards if somebody wants to do that.
Is that expensive?
The process is not expensive. Now, to duplicate this, or you should have a board manufacturer, it probably maybe run $10-15 per board.
Oh, okay.
Now, could you use this as a basis and then add some extra bits, like say the DAT boards and stuff, right onto it, like create a new version of the board with some extra features?
Sure, it is possible.
You also had what you put in Discord. You picked up what you called a Picasso, a very rare CoCo. You have any of those pictures queued up that you could pull up here?
No, I don't have those. They're still on my phone. I saw that on eBay, and the guy was offering $75. He lives in Galveston. It's about 250 miles away from me, and I messaged him, asked him if he could tell me what version it is, and I told him exactly where to look, and he didn't get to me back for 2 days, and I was really worried someone might see this listing and buy it.
Right.
And he wrote back to me, he says, yeah, it's --C, and I said, oh my God, and I immediately bought it. I mean, I didn't even, but I forgot to read the rest of it, saying, because I also offered him $50 because he had a make offer. And he said, I'm willing to accept $50 if you want it. And I said, oh, okay, well, never mind. I'm still going to buy it. But I didn't want it damaged because I didn't want to get lost in the mail in it. So I said, look, can I pick it up locally? Don't worry about the shipping charges. I'll just come and get it. And so later that day I went over there. And I was up front with him when I told him, I said, this is I looked at it. I opened up the shielding, and I said, this is a very rare color computer. At first I thought it was maybe one of the first production wave that went out in the general public for sale, but looking at it and looking for quality control stamps and things like that, it looks like this was one of the ones that were used as a dry run, is what they would call it, or ones that they made, and they were just testing them to ensure, to find any mistakes or make any changes to, the actual production color computers. And I think that's one of these is one of the, what I call the pre-production.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, I found them in Discord. So whenever you're done, if you stop screen sharing, I'll switch over to Discord and show that.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. It is, it's like the words quote unquote rare and vintage are used to describe just about everything on eBay. But every now and then you get one that truly fits that description,
Right. I was going to say, this could be one of the boards that Terry Steen had if he actually did get his CoCo in '79, if it's pre-production.
How does it feel?
Where is the screen share? I forget where this. I'm not really familiar.
Just click on the plus, the little blue plus, and hit stop.
I have a question about this. How many of the original CoCo components are not available anymore?
Well, as far as components, let's see. There's the gimme chip is not available anywhere.
You're still sharing, by the way.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the plus.
Oh, is that a CoCo 3 board?
The one he was showing us is a CoCo 3, but the one I'm going to show you in a minute here is the CoCo 1 board.
Yeah, I know the gimme's not available. I'm just wondering about, in general, the other support components. Are they possible to find?
All right. Well, while Richard finds the button to stop screen sharing, I will show off what he... And again, this is another reason to get on Discord, right? Because he actually posted all these in one of the Discord channels. So here's one of the pictures of that motherboard.
Right.
Now, did you clean this up?
No, not at all. I probably will never put this in an ultrasonic machine. This is just too valuable to... I'm treating this one with kid gloves. But,
right.
To show some of the pictures here, like you can see where the ROM area is. You can see it says X Basic. So I haven't touched the ROMs yet.
ROMs are over here. Are these the ROMs here? Okay.
And you can see those are ceramic ROMs. Those are very rare.
Right.
You also notice the VDG chip, which is off to the left.
Yeah.
That's soldered in, and it's ceramic. And off to the... Can you see? You can see this.
Well,
stuff?
you still need to. You got to switch back to look at the CoCoTALK screen, but you're still screen sharing, Richard. So try to get your screen sharing off. The blue plus down there next to the red hang up button. Click on that, and a pop up menu should come up. You hit stop sharing screens.
Did that do that? No.
No. So yeah, it's really shiny and it's really clean, and that one looks good. There's another one on here where you have a little bit more close-up of the chips here, right? So you can see here that the VDG is socketed. Here's your two ROM chips here, right? Copyright Tandy 1980. Here's the Motorola CPU with a Motorola little plate on the chip there. That's kind of cool. You don't see that every day, right?
Right.
Yeah. You're still screen sharing, and if you have to, maybe just hang up and call right back if you can't figure out how to stop screen sharing.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll wait for Richard to come right back. Yeah, and so this was listed on eBay, I guess, and Richard, are you back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Yeah. You're no longer screen sharing.
Okay, sorry about that.
Yeah, this is a nice close-up of the... now, this little orange disc here, is this one of those electrolytic capacitors that everybody talks about?
No, that's just a ceramic disc capacitor. Those are fairly common. Those are the ones you don't have to worry about. You see the gray one in the upper right-hand screen? That's an electrolytic capacitor. Those can leak, and it's recommended that you replace those every 30 years or so. If you're getting the board repaired or anything like that, it's a good idea to have them replaced. But if they're not leaking or if they don't show any signs of wear, you would see like some fluid leaking, then they're probably fine.
Okay.
Richard, I have two questions for you concerning this photo we're looking at right now. First of all, the 6809 itself is not labeled as a 6809, is it?
Correct. That is actually the internal Motorola part number. That's another rarity with those. The Motorola originally shipped those in ceramic, and it was the Motorola part number, not the MC6809EP or whatever, the packaging.
Okay. And second, what is this sticker that is over top the extended basic ROM? It says something XBAS, but what's the top part say?
I have no idea what that is.
It looks like it says Tully, Tulley.
Right. That's probably, someone's extended basic version in the factory. I don't know. The thing is, when I got home, I plugged it in, turned it on, and it was like a short. You could hear it in one of the power transistors. And I smelt something real funny, and I thought maybe the smell was because it hadn't been turned on in a while. But I did turn it off. There's some kind of short in there, and I need to isolate it. So I'm gonna remove these chips and put them in a working CoCo 1 to see exactly what, especially the ROMs, what they are.
Cool.
Yeah, because I'm wondering if that might even be a pre-release version of Extended Basic with some extra bugs or something in it.
Yeah, that's what I think it might be.
Now this little blue wire down here towards the bottom, is that an official?
That's a modification the factory did. That's what they call bus wire. That's fixed Antonio's CoCo. That's what I used to fix the traces.
Now, is this a 4K or a 16K CoCo?
The badge said 4K, but it's a 16K version. This is another unique thing about this keyboard is, how the old chiclet keyboards, the cable or the ribbon was a very short ribbon, and it was in the front of the top part of the keyboard. This one, the header is on the bottom. So this was another rarity. I've never seen these kind of keyboards, chiclet keyboards.
Very cool. And then here we can see the C board.
Yep.
Right.
Right.
So that's pretty cool. And then here we can see, you were talking about this label in Discord, how this is like just a peel and stick on label.
Right. You could see the outline. When I first saw this, I thought maybe he photoshopped it or, just tried to sell it. But what it is, it's a generic label that Radio Shack printed. And then what they did is they stuck a sticker on where the serial number belongs, and that's where the 80 part.
Okay. So that was hand applied.
Right.
It wasn't
and then
like factory stamped or anything.
Right. And if you see on the very top of that, that is a QC quality control stamp.
Right.
And that's TEW, which is Tandy Electronic Warehouse. Normally, occasionally what happened is ones that wound up in the warehouse, they would inspect them there and they would put a QC stamp there. Or it could have been a Radio Shack or an Electronic Warehouse employee at the factory doing that. But there was no other QC stamps that I could find on the board or anywhere on the case. Because usually they marked them underneath the top case. They had QC stamps or they were handwritten in grease pen.
That's really cool. So yeah, just something that you'll see on Discord, right? And as much as we want to encourage people to join us on Discord, we also have to have the disclaimer to remind everyone that what happens on Discord stays on Discord, because we have a lot of conversations and a lot of things are mentioned and said, and not all of it is for rebroadcasting. So if you find yourself in the middle of one of those late night Discord discussions, just know that what you hear there stays there. Very cool stuff. So yeah, that's a great find there. That's all caps rare, because everybody calls anything, any old equipment, they throw out the word rare on eBay. CoCo 2s aren't that rare. Even CoCo 1s themselves aren't that rare. But something like that, I believe, is worthy of the title, right?
Yeah, this one, instead of I call it a Picasso, I think it's more of a Rosetta Stone than anything else, because this one has, it's one of the first ones. It has a lot, a precursor to the actual production CoCo ones, so you won't find this anywhere.
Yeah.
And how much are you going to sell it for, Richard?
1,000, 2,000, I don't know. No, I have no plans of ever selling this. I would probably donate it to a museum if I ever gave it up.
We should talk to Glenn Soggy of Image Producers again, because they had a pre-production prototype board in a wooden case from Tandy that they had to keep under lock and key when they were programming the initial releases of some of the cartridges back in like February of 1980, and see if he recognizes the C board.
Yeah,
an earlier prototype that was like a wire wrap or something.
Right, and this is different than the C board that I have. That this one was a production one. It'd been out in the it was sold, and it has slightly different modifications on it, and but I might use that one as a guide on this one, this current C model, just to get some compare.
Hey, and while you were showing that, or while we were showing that, Nick Marrota had put a little thing in the sidebar. You wanna just share that, Nick, what you had just said about your little story of getting your CoCo?
You mean where I said I got my CoCo as a birthday gift?
Yeah.
I got the CoCo 1 as a gift from my grandparents. I think I was, like I said, in grade 10 or 11, and then after my grandfather died, my grandmother would just give me random money every once in a while, and I would just save it away and buy whatever, my disk drives or printer or whatever. So I was very lucky, very, very fortunate that I was able to. I had her in my life to help me, help computer stuff.
Help fund your habit.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And it led to me becoming a computer programmer. So
that's awesome.
She invested in me. So.
Yeah. Very cool, Richard. Thanks for sharing that. Before I start just monopolizing the airwaves again, did anybody else have a project update they wanted to share? Bruce Moore's raising his hand. He's very polite over there, and he's in Canada. You want to start off by saying I'm sorry?
Not really.
No, screw you all. That's what he should say.
Am I like frozen? I look frozen here. Am I totally
You are frozen. You are frozen.
Well, at least I'm smiling. Oh,
yeah.
Well, shoot, I got something to show you here. But
there you go.
No,
you just unfroze.
Okay. So, you know, when we were having our hardware talk last time and talking about cases and all that, it seems that John Strong's the guy for the cases, right?
Yeah.
What happens if John Strong becomes unable to make cases? What do we do?
Yep.
You know,
that's one of our challenges.
Yeah. So my brother got a 3D printer a little while ago, and I said to him, "Hey, maybe you could make some cases." And he's like, "Oh, I don't know." But the reason I know he got a 3D printer is because he made me something for my birthday, and I'm just going to bring it into the camera here.
Okay.
This is really cool. Okay, here it is.
Oh, Forest of Doom. Back it up just a little bit. Yeah, it's 3-dimensional even.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Back it up a little bit. It's very, very close to the camera. We can see the whole thing. Okay. That is really cool. You can
look at this scary dude here. Like,
yeah.
This is just...
That would be cool the next time you do an exhibit, you know. That's neat. That's really neat.
That's bigger than I would have expected too. Like most 3D print stuff's fairly small. How tall is that? Like 1.5 feet or something?
No, this is. Let's get a proper scale here. So,
yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, what is that? Maybe 8 inches. Maybe?
That's what she said. Yeah.
Wrong show.
At any rate, this has got me wondering about, I don't know, doing some sort of update to the forest and, I don't know, making another contest. And, I mean, wouldn't this be an awesome thing to have on your shelf, right?
Oh, yeah.
Now what you have to do, though, is you have to add a cartridge connector and a ROM chip and actually plug that in for your Forest of Doom cartridge.
Yeah, just right in there.
It needs a real-time clock.
The CoCo needs 8 inches in it, so yeah.
Well, you won't. No one will buy this unless it has a real-time clock, apparently.
And blinky lights, a sound chip.
I'm thinking of actually painting the face of it red and leaving the rest of it black.
That would be cool. Yeah.
Hey, what's the serial number?
000.
What's the rev on the board? That's cool.
Yeah. So I don't know. So there's wonderful things that can be done with 3D printers.
About how many hours did it take to make that?
He did 3 tries, but to actually print it?
Yes.
I think he said 11.
11 hours?
I think it took 11 hours for it to do all this crazy.
Is that in Canadian time?
Oh, yeah.
You drop it.
Yeah, something like that. I could be wrong. I'm thinking
that sounds about right, because that's one of the drawbacks with 3D printing is it takes a long time, and then of course, like what you had mentioned, this was his 3rd attempt, because it could be going along, and all of a sudden it could have a hiccup, and then all of a sudden it just starts screwing up, and you got to start all over again.
Yeah.
That is neat.
So,
cool case for a Cocoa Pie.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
Well, I was just going to add in there too that Curtis and I have been talking a lot on Discord because I've been experimenting with Basic 09 and assembler on Nitrous 9, I guess.
Yeah, level 1.
Yeah, level 1, and getting them to talk to each other. And so I'm happy to say I've successfully got Basic 09 to send some code out, to interface with a machine language routine and come back again and not blow up. And that feels like a big accomplishment of some sort. And I do have another game idea that I'm toying with here. So
okay.
As I'm getting the cranking out the CoCo Forevers, I've got something else going on the back of my mind.
Excellent.
So just to remind everybody, I think I think it's episode 5 is came out last week. I believe it was. I had another real cliffhanger, and
I'm behind.
Yeah, you're behind.
That, yeah.
I thought it was episode 4. Is it now 5?
I believe it's 5 now. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Alt undo. Can anybody confirm that?
Okay.
Yeah.
And can you post a link to where you can download and buy these on YouTube?
On YouTube?
Yeah, put it on the YouTube chat. Yeah, it's what is it? cocoforever.gracenote.ca.
Yeah. Maybe somebody who can get into YouTube if they could do
I'll try that right now. So it's cocoforever.gracenote.ca.
Yeah, episode 5 actually has it has a disc file that you start with, and then it's got the audio portion, and then it's got video. An actual movie segment.
That's neat. So we got you here. Let me ask you a question about that right now, because we've been talking about CoCo projects and everything else. So this is a new project. This is very cutting edge. It's very out of the box. But how is it? We premiered it here. Those of us on CoCoTALK, we know about it. We're psyched about it. How has the community at large? What's the reaction been on that? And and how is that translated to like sales and stuff too?
Oh well, sales are double digits. I say that.
Okay.
I think what's I think this is more of a slower moving thing because it is episodic. It's coming out a bit at a time. People are on holidays. I'll catch up. I'll catch up later. I know some people like Curtis. They're binge watchers or binge consumers, and so it's like I'm just going to wait till they're all out and get them all at once. Yeah. So it's it is what it is. And it's I'm fewer coming in regularly, and I think the word's gotta just get out more.
Right.
It seems that when the word does kind of get out more, then people are like, and then they grab it, when they're not on holidays or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I think if somebody hasn't watched the debut of it and is not sure what it is kind of hard to maybe explain it in a Facebook post, just how in-depth and intricate this project is. And we live in a time now where there's so many things that are scrolling by our feed. How do you know what to stop and click on? And so I think on the one hand, you've created an extremely high quality product. The entertainment value, the production value, all that stuff is there, but it is also so different that how do you make the object shiny enough to get somebody to click on it, as you're scrolling by Facebook feeds. So that might be part of your challenge on the marketing side,
Yeah. I'm starting to think I need to describe it as a movie. So one of my posts was, hey, Ready Player One cut the CoCo out. Well, why don't you check out a real CoCo movie,
Yeah.
That was one of my posts. So I just, because, what is it? Well, it's hard. I said, well, it's this multimedia thing. And it's like, how do you get your brain around that? It's tricky.
It's different. But, that's cool. Hey, we got Wayne Campbell is in the live chat. We have not heard from our friend Wayne in a while, but you were talking about OS 9 talking to assembly. He says, I know there is a section in the C manual that shows how to interface a C written object code subroutine to basic 09 subroutine. I've never found anything concerning using assembly to write, but interesting. Hey, welcome back, Wayne. It's good to see Wayne on here to write an assembly object code subroutine. So maybe Bruce can write something showing how to do that. You might be walking into new territory, Bruce.
Yeah. I could. Yeah, sure.
Very cool.
Curtis could do it too, of course. Maybe Curtis and I can talk through it together or something.
Yeah. No, we used to write a bunch of those for work. We had a whole set of stuff for work for our printers, for our terminals and stuff. Those all ML subroutines you'd call from Basic 09. So.
Yeah. Does anybody else have a project update or acquisition to share with us?
I don't know if this counts, but I just ordered 10 of Mark Blair's CoCo cartridge boards from Oshpark because I want to make a drive wire cartridge for myself.
Okay.
Another gentleman on the VCF org and on the CoCo list who wants a cartridge He unfortunately just killed his CoCo 2 trying to do the 64K upgrade. He lives in Ohio, and hopefully he'll find someone local to help him fix that.
Yeah, friends don't let friends do hardware hacks that don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, well,
That's why I don't do them.
If nearby, I would have helped him do it.
Yeah, Curtis Boyle burned his hair with a soldering iron one time. So,
yep.
I'm about to have fun putting that composite adapter in the MC10. So that's going to be a little bit of work. It's not too much.
Yeah. Cool.
3 pins and pulling that old RF modulator out that I'll never use. So
there you go. Yeah, well, let us know how that progresses. And somebody was asking the question recently too, because you're talking about putting drive wire on a cartridge. The question of putting OS9 on a cartridge has come up a few times recently. And I don't remember where we last spoke on this. That's one of the problems. We've got so many communication outlets now. I don't remember if it was on the CoCo Crew podcast or if it was on Discord, if it was one of my drug-induced hallucinations. But I do recall having the conversation, maybe John Linville was in there too, where you could now maybe have OS9 boot up on a cartridge and have a basic 09 program run from that cartridge. Did we have that conversation recently?
OS9 was designed to be ROMable. If you look at the original specs from Microware, it is.
Okay.
And Boise did his CoCo Yoda project where he had a CoCo 2 with OS9 on a ROM in his Toyota truck at one point. I think he did it back in like 98. And he added monitoring some of the stuff from his truck. And he's actually got the source code for that project and everything else up on, I think, GitHub or something. So, yes, you can put OS9 on a ROM. You can have a mix of ROM and RAM. You can have it load all the modules that you want to run from and then just have the RAM for the actual data for your program. And it works fine.
So this might be something for Bruce Moore's next project, where if he makes something in Nitrous 9 and or Basic 09, that's a hybrid of Basic 09 and assembly, it could be a cartridge project, possibly.
Yep, theoretically it could be.
I'm not saying it's a cartridge project, but it could be.
I remember.
As long as it looks like this.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, at least the cartridges are red, so they're the right color for the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I remember on the Cloud9 page, there was a specific ROM file that you could use if you didn't want to go to this basic, and it would boot directly to OS9.
Okay.
DriveWire 4, I think.
So it is kind of cool that we live in a time where we have these, what do they call them, prototype boards and do-it-yourself things where you can make a cartridge and put whatever parts on there you want and stuff. That's very cool stuff. All right, so I think have we gone around project updates? Are we good there?
Well, I didn't want to say it's a project, but I'm getting started on some stuff, and I thought I'd see if I can get feedback from people if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure. It sucks. It sucks. Don't quit your day job.
I
You're
can't
ugly.
stand the yellow, so I took people's advice, and I got this highly toxic chemical, and I'm setting up my UV light, and I was told it's best to wrap them up in saran wrap and so forth. Whoever's good at retro, what would you do?
It works. I've used it.
Okay,
that was Ron?
That was Ron Delvaux.
Should I expect to get skin burns and?
Yeah, do not touch it, and especially on your fingers in the sunlight because it turns white. And
oh, really?
Yeah, and it looks a little scary on your finger, and then when you wash it off, it still stays there for a while, and then eventually goes away. But it has a little sting to it, so I would.
So it look like powder.
So wear gloves is what you're saying?
Yeah, I would. I didn't, but.
Stupid. It's a good thing you didn't get your beard there. You'd be looking really
old.
Yeah, goggles then maybe.
Yeah.
So you basically you put that pasty lotion over the CoCo parts. You wrap them in saran wrap and you put them out in the sun.
Yeah, in the sun out here, man. Within 10 minutes, you can tell it's working.
See, people
really?
Here's one that was yellow, and it looks beautiful.
People have used the saran wrap method, but sometimes you get a mottled appearance on the case.
I think
sometimes. I didn't say all the time, Ron. Sometimes.
Yeah, I guess you
Yeah,
could.
it depends on the level of sunlight also, because like Ron lives in Arizona where the sun is extremely bright compared
The
to
sun's
other
trying to kill you, basically, in Arizona. So.
Yeah.
So take that in consideration when you put it out in the sun.
What some people do is they get a tub, a plastic tub, and they load it with warm water, and then put the solution in that, and then immerse the case in there and put that outside in the sunlight, and that seems to distribute the hydrogen peroxide better, and you don't get that mottled effect.
Okay, yeah. So I'm surprised the sun was enough, because I was going to hook up a UV light this next weekend and start doing it in the garage, but it's plenty hot outside, so maybe I'll save some money that way.
Well, the using the UV light, it would take a long time. Actually, you're talking about days instead of compared to Ron, because I mean it's the UV light that is the magic in the transformation.
Yep.
But yeah, if you use the black light or UV light, it could take 2-3 days before you have any results compared to the sun. The sun is actually a better option.
Okay, that's the kind of stuff that helps out, because I would have been getting angry in my garage. It's like, this isn't working, and somebody would have said, "Oh, well, you shouldn't have bought the light. You should have just stuck it outside."
Yeah.
And the other tip is also make sure the label on your CoCo, you're doing a CoCo 2 or 3, it doesn't matter, but make sure the label is covered.
Because if
properly.
you don't,
it'll screw it up.
See, my red is gone.
Oh,
it just touched it, that one spot, and the red is gone on those label.
That's something. Okay.
Yeah, wow. You got to tape it.
Well, I think on the VCF forum, someone was making replacement labels.
Yeah.
So it's like, do you have a white CoCo but no red dot on your label? We can help.
I'm sure I could probably paint it back on.
There's I can't remember who does the labels here. His name escapes me. He does the 5K, 512K labels, CoCo 3.
That's Mike Rowan, I think.
Yeah, Mike Rowan. That's it. Yeah, he sells
Myro.
Yeah. Correct.
Okay, and the only other one that I got is I got my 6309s in, and I'm gonna do some installs. I know it's got more capabilities. What is it only good if you got OS 9, or is there some kind of pokes that you can do to make things run faster, or something like that I could take advantage of something?
There's a few things. I mean, Robert Galdo's patch Ed has him to do native 609 stuff, so you can actually program the 609, all of its native registers and additional commands. Sockmaster had published some patches for BASIC, and Nick, you probably have a copy of it more handy than I would, but he actually did some patches to use the 609 native mode and to use some of the TFM instructions for screen scrolling and screen clearing and stuff, so you can get some speed ups in BASIC in certain functions as well.
Okay, yeah, because I heard somebody was, I'm not sure who was doing it. Oh, I can't remember the name, but they were doing the MC10 upgrades, and I think he was porting over a 6309 to the MC10.
Oh, James, 6303 he was doing. That was James Diffenbacher.
Yeah.
Okay, Diffenbacher. Yeah, that's him. Okay. All right, yeah, because I'm gonna be putting these in, but I'm just curious when I'm gonna be able to actually get some benefit out of them.
Well, there's some RSDOS programs right now that do take advantage, like Sockmaster. His Donkey Kong transcode actually supports 609 native mode to get a 15% speed increase. His mod player takes definite advantage. You can get like literally 2 kHz better quality sound out of it. So he's actually got a specific 609 version of that program. It also lets the oscilloscope and stuff work a lot better than it does in the 609 version because he has more CPU time. So there's some programs that actually do take advantage of it.
And that's CoCo. That's CoCo 3 specific, though.
Yeah. Are you putting this in a CoCo 3 or CoCo 1 and 2?
I was going to put them in whatever happens to have a socket when I open up some of these machines.
Yeah, well, that would be a CoCo 1 and 2. CoCo
Yeah.
3 does not have a native socket. You would have to desolder the CPU to get the socket into CoCo 3.
Yeah. Now, as far as CoCo 1 and 2 level software, the only ones I know so far that have 609 stuff built in is Nitrous 9 level 1. That does have some stuff built in for the 609 native mode.
Yeah, because we were doing the stuff on assembly, and I looked at some of the online specs for the 6309, and I was like, "Yo, man, I want to use some of these wider registers and everything like that." So I started wondering, well, where am I going to get an assembler? And well, no programs are going to use this because it wouldn't work on every machine. So I got it knowing that it had advantages, but I didn't know exactly which ones would be the most beneficial.
Yeah, Nick, you have Robert Galt's EdTASM. Does it work on a CoCo 1 and 2 as well, or is it CoCo 3 specific?
CoCo 3 specific.
Okay, so you need a CoCo 3 to do the assembly, and then you could write a CoCo 1-2 program in it, fine. But
well, you could, you could do that, but the assembly only runs on the CoCo 3.
Yeah, because I think it needs 80 columns or something like that, if I remember.
I use 80 columns, higher clock, yeah.
The main benefits come if you have software written to take advantage of the extra hardware features, but a simple benefit too is that it does run cooler, right? So it runs cooler, consumes less power.
Takes 1/100th the power. Yeah.
Yeah. So if nothing else, it might extend the life of your CoCo, or at least reduce the temperature of stuff. Now, earlier when you were talking about putting on the lotion on the Retro Bright, John Linville was doing a nice little quote from Silence of the Lamb, right? It puts the lotion on its skin, or it gets the hose, right? So and then Ed Snyder just joined us again. He says LW ASM and cross assembly tools would probably take advantage of 6309 stuff too. So I'm kind of the mindset that, we've talked about we need more people making software projects because we got lots of hardware projects. I think if products were created to support a certain piece of hardware, I think that would just help that market, right? So if we started getting some 6309 products, even for the CoCo 1 and 2, it is so easy and so inexpensive to add a 6309 to a CoCo 1 or 2 because there's no soldering required. Why not make a program and say, screw it, this is a 6309 program, put on your big boy pants, spend $5 and put in the chip, bitch, right? And just make a program for it,
Yeah, I agree.
Well, why even bother having to say, writing the code to say, well, if I have a 6309, then do this, and if I don't, then do that. Screw it. This is a big boy program for a big boy champs, big boy chip, and you little pansies can't run it. So buy yourself a chip and grow the F up, right? So
that's what we did with Nitrous 9 at first, because it was 6309 only. It was like, we sold the chip with Nitrous 9, and like I said, that first CoCo Fest we were selling it, we sold out. We had 50 copies. We sold out the first day, chips and all. So we had to go buy chips from other vendors, and I had to go pay exorbitant hotel prices to Xerox manuals and stuff just to sell them on the second day because we were completely out. But yeah, the CoCo 1 and 2, definitely. I mean, you put a couple TFM commands. Your P copy you're trying to do to speed up your game there, Steve.
Yeah.
Replace that with a TFM instruction, it would be quite a lot faster.
Yeah. That's like
I just know that I was surprised at how cheap it was because I got mine through Boys in Tech, who very promptly delivered it for almost, it was like $12 to get the 3 chips with shipping from San Antonio to Virginia. So it's like, geez, it's like getting a newspaper,
Or like Mark Overholser at Starbucks, getting a crappy cup of Starbucks coffee.
Amazon
you can't buy Starbucks for the cost of 2 of these chips.
I know.
Trade a coffee for 2 chips, yeah. But yeah, I mean, we have those patches for basic on the CoCo 1 and 2, the 64K, where you kick it in a RAM mode, copy the basic ROMs over, that you can muck with the ROMs. You could literally go patch the ROMs, and I think somebody is working on that right now for patching the ROMs to use a lot of 6309 native code because there's a lot of speed ups. Plus, you can write code smaller, which means you have some room to put in some different routines, etc., that you wouldn't normally be able to do if you're trying to optimize, say, the 609 code itself. So yeah, there's definitely some advantages that can be taken. We need more people doing CoCo 1 and 2 development for 6309, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. I
mean, I did some patches recently to Nitrous 9 Level 1 to speed up some of the graphics and text drivers for CoCo VGA as well. So that's running literally about twice as fast as it used to be, but we need some stuff under RS-DOS as well.
So you're saying we're needing development for CoCo 1 and 2 for the 6309?
Yeah.
Especially for this basic. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm just now starting to get rolling again, and it's like I'm thinking all kinds of potential projects. Every time I hear something and I think of something, it's like, oh, I'll find out, oh, somebody's already doing that. Well, I don't want to do that. And, well, let me try this, and let me try that. And these things pique my interest, and it's like, okay, I gotta figure out what I want to do. And if there's stuff that people are looking for, maybe we should start a little forum on Discord where it's like, I'd like to have,
Yeah. Well, I got two suggestions if you're looking for a project. We are very short on RAM upgrades and sound chips. So if you want to work on any of those two.
Actually, on the serious side, Terry, there's a product that Jim sells is called CoCo Flash, and there's a lot of potential for that one to be, software written for that. It's like an SDC card, but it writes it to a ROM, and you can address programs, or not programs, but ROM cartridges.
Yeah, that's the one. It looks like a ROM cartridge, and you just program the cartridge and reuse it.
Right.
Yeah, and it's in need of a user interface right now, and maybe an improved process to load up the cartridge with stuff. So that is something that we could definitely use some development help on. I bought one. I barely understand it, and I'm not. And my lack of understanding is just because I'm not that technical. But seeing what some of the challenges are, I have some ideas, and I think we have been in Discord kind of brainstorming on some things we'd like to do or like to see. But it might be cool to actually create a Discord channel where we sit down now and let's put together a team. Let's some of them can be the brain trusts and the brainstormers, the dream team, and the other ones are the people who actually know how to make the software to make this work. But it's a great Jacob Rydell's here. Hey, and so so that would be an interesting project that I think would really be nice to have this holy grail user interface and loading process to it. Sac City Tech was saying that the 6309 is compatible with the 6809. Why would you need a selector? Well, I'm talking about if you're writing software. You can write software to detect the presence of the chip and take advantage of the chip. That's one way to do it. Or you can just write software that says, screw it, I'm only going to work on this chip, and if you don't have it, I won't work. You don't need a selector for it because it is backwards compatible. It'll automatically run software. I
don't know if he's talking about the thing that Jim Brain came out. It's a kind of a cope, it's a dual processor.
The 2-chip thing, yeah.
Yeah, and that's really useful for if you're doing software development. You could switch between both, making sure that it works with a true 6809 versus the Apache. And it's also a really good, you could buy it in a kit form, or you could just buy the board by itself and put it together. It's kind of a cool little thing to assemble, and it doesn't cost that much. So
Right. So, and then Ed Snyder is just saying that it's 100% compatible in 6809 mode, except for divide by zero and illegal opcodes throwing an interrupt. So there is some type of weird situation where something written for the 6809.
Divide by zero you don't have to worry about, because divide is a hardware instruction only on the 609. You shouldn't be doing that on 609 anyway. But an illegal instruction on a 6809 will just kind of skip over the opcode and go on. On the 6309, it'll trigger an illegal instruction trap and then jump to an IRQ type of address, trying to find where it wants to go to handle your hardware issue, trying to issue an illegal instruction. So it will definitely behave differently in that case. And some people use illegal instructions to do timing loops of weird sizes and weird times. So there's a few programs, not a lot. I've seen maybe 3 or 4 out of the thousands available that have actually used that don't work properly in the 609, but there are a couple.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Mark on Discord, I think he said that the FIRQ acts like an IRQ, which...
That's programmable. You can change that either way. It defaults to running just like a 609, where an FIRQ only puts the program counter and the condition code register in the stack. But you can tell it, no, I want you to act like an IRQ. So on the FIRQ triggers, it'll actually push all the registers.
Oh, okay.
Which is nice
if you're trying to thinking. Is like, I used to do all of my stuff when I'm doing screen scans. I'll do quick operations between scan lines, and it's like, well, if I'm pushing all the registers, I might not have enough time to do my operations.
Yeah, no, it's totally optional. You set it which way you want. If you have something where it actually does require to push all the registers, rather than have to go pull through multiple hardware devices all on the IRQ line, you can actually say one's on the FIRQ, one's on the IRQ, and have them both push all the registers, and then you have no polling to worry about.
Awesome.
Did anybody understand what Curtis just said?
Is it drive wire, TTL?
Drive wire.
Yeah, where's David Ladd when you need him?
All I heard was somebody talking about an F and IRQ, right? So
I like Jacob Riddle's comment. Did you see that?
Yeah, he's one of my friends from my Minecraft channel. So he's like,
what you talking about in English, like normal words? I don't see if it's American. I can understand this.
So, the cool stuff. Yeah. So 6309, everybody should have one. All the cool kids are getting one. You guys should get one too.
And Terry, if you do want to write a 609 exclusive program, I would try writing a game, because some of the stuff you could do with that chip even on a CoCo 1 and 2, you could do some pretty impressive stuff.
Yeah, because when I get programming again, I was thinking, I've got another index register, and I got 2 more 8-bits, and combine it together to make a 32. You got some killer options on this thing, so I was really looking forward to it.
Yeah. The biggest ones I would use would be the IM instructions or in memory and stuff, because you can do background masks and stuff for graphics a lot faster in one instruction having to do 3 or 4, and also the transfer memory instruction where you can blast a screen, copy a screen or clear a screen really fast.
Awesome. All right, so yeah, like I said, I just wanted to get some feedback, because it's like, okay, I'm going to stick these things in and find out. Well, nobody's got software that's using for them, but I'm going to go ahead and check out the CoCo Flash and see what's up with that, and see about maybe writing some code here in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah,
I think.
It's a chicken and egg thing though.
Do this stuff. What's that?
Yeah. It's a chicken and egg thing though, because we have this extra hardware nobody's written software for, but nobody's going to buy the extra hardware if nobody writes software for it. So you just have to jump in with both feet, just go.
Yeah. I'm not quite ready to be able to contribute to the software side of that, but I do have some ideas on some wish list items for the user interface and maybe the procedure and things like that. So I think we could definitely get a team together, a brain trust, and maybe we should make that Discord channel. We'll make if it doesn't already exist, we need to make a CoCo Flash.
The 6309 Discord channel would be nice.
Yeah, 6309 one too. We could do it. It's real easy. It doesn't cost anything to make a new channel.
So is this where I can insert my shameless plug that you can buy those 6309s at voiceontech.com and maybe get a banner and put it behind my back and put it on video too?
Yeah. Hold on just a second here. What we can do is I could go to...
and where do we go for the warranty returns?
Go for retro.com. Jim Brain, he's a really heck of a nice guy. Yeah.
So here's
my banner now.
That exactly. There you go.
So I just put up the sponsor page again. So don't forget Boyson Tech, right? BOYSON Tech.com, where you can get some high quality 6309 chips.
And sockets if you need.
And sockets if you need some sockets. So you got dips to go with those chips?
Yep.
All right, so there we go.
It all.
And if we need them installed, how you want us to do that?
I'm going to put up a buy button to where I will automatically send you a shipping label, and then you can send the board to me to get upgraded. But right now, you can just contact me. I can make arrangements. You could just send the board to me. I'll upgrade it, and also I can replace the caps and clean the board all in one swoop. And I do those for $50 for the complete overhaul like that, and that also includes return shipping.
Wow, that's not bad at all.
Very cool.
Yeah, normally I charge $30 just to do the CPU upgrades.
All right. Hey, I got to call my wife real quick. So I don't know if you guys, we can do one of two things. I can run a commercial break, or if you guys want to talk amongst yourselves. But then we have a segment we want to do, a new segment, and hopefully Diego's still with us. And if you want to join that conversation, we've got a new section to the segment to the show. So what would you guys like to do? Y'all want to keep talking, or you want me to run a commercial for about a minute and a half?
I want to go get some coffee, so commercial's good.
All right, so we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back, boys and girls.
Hello, this is Grant Leighty with CoCoTALK. Got your CoCo 3
Oh
yet?
God, get him off of there.
Hi, this is the award-winning Alan Huffman of Subby the Software, and you're watching Stevie fall off cliffs.
Hey, have you got your CoCo 3 yet? Hi, this is Rick Adams, author of Temple of Ram and Shanghai, and you've tuned into CoCoTALK, the nation's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy color computer.
What's going on, everybody? Original Gamer Stevie Strow here, and if you're a fan of vintage computing and retro gaming, then you're going to love our retro swag shop at 8bit256.com. There you will find custom designs by Instagram artist Joel M. Adams. You can get I'm a Coconut, CoCoTALK, and other cool video game images on a t-shirt, coffee mug, or mouse pad. So if you love retro, then head on over to the retro swag shop at 8bit256.com today. Tell them the Original Gamer Stevie Strow sent you.
Radio Shack has a great gift idea for the whole family. Fast action TV games, and they're on sale. Get this 6-game model for $29.95 or the 4-game model for $21.95. With rising entertainment costs, that's a real bargain. You play hockey, tennis, squash, and more. Easy to hook up and great family fun that lasts all year long. The sale price TV games. Only at Radio Shack, a Tandy company.
Hi, I'm Mike Rowan, and you're watching the Original Gamer, Stevie Strow. And when you're done watching, come over and listen to the CoCo Crew podcast.
Hi, this is John Linville.
And Neil Blanchard.
We are the CoCo Crew. I hope you're enjoying watching Stevie Strow play video games, especially the CoCo games. And when you're done with that, check out our podcast at CoCoCrew.org.
Where can you catch all the latest news and information about the Tandy color computer and compatibles? Oh yeah, I'm talking about the CoCo Crew podcast. Dig it each month. Join John, Neil, and Mike as they lay down the latest news and information about the Radio Shack Tandy color computer and compatibles. Groove to interviews, tech segments, and discussions all about the Radio Shack Tandy color computer. Strut your fine self over to www.cococrew.org and start listening today. The CoCo Crew Podcast. Keeping it CoCo, dig?
Keeping it CoCo, dig. We're keeping it CoCo. And I am almost done with listening to the CoCo Crew podcast. I got to the point where I started listening to John Linville's tech segment on adding assembly to a basic program. All right, and so I have not finished listening to all of that, but yeah, it's been a great show so far. CoCo Crew podcast. If you have not listened to them, then listen to them, damn it. Now, we've got a new segment that we're going to do here. And before we start it, number one, I want to maybe let Nick Marentes, who came up with this idea, maybe explain it. But I also want to see if Diego is willing to be our first willing participant, because he did have some things to talk about. You know, he's working on a software project and was sharing with us, you know, a few things and ask a few questions. So are you willing to be our sacrificial first tech talker on this segment, Diego?
Sure, more than willing.
All right. So Nick Marentes had a brilliant idea, one of many brilliant ideas that Nick Marentes has had.
I was just going to say that was a rare occasion, but go ahead.
So we've got a new segment, and we are a professional show, so we will, we will show you the little intro graphic here. But why don't you tell everybody what we're about ready to embark on here, Nick?
Well, it's just an idea of a segment where if anyone has any, it's a bit hard to explain. I haven't even clarified it in my own head. But if you have an idea, if you're working on a specific subroutine, whether it be a sound routine that you've just done, or you have a few ideas like how to optimize CPU cycles, little things like that, you can just discuss the routine or the idea. So it's more of a software segment that covers a few detailed aspects of a project that you may be working on. Yeah, a bit hard to explain. I don't know where it's going to go, but I figured, well, let's throw this nifty, catchy title and infographics. And Diego has a project he's working on at the moment that he's writing a game in BASIC. And on the Facebook page, he mentioned a problem that he's having regarding moving one of the characters on the screen. It flickers a lot. So I thought that might be a good discussion for this particular segment, whereby he explains the problem that he's trying to overcome, and everyone just throws their ideas in. Now, I think it's been pretty well described on the Facebook page now anyway, but yeah, let's give this segment a run and see how it comes out.
All right, sounds good. Well, let's start off with the intro graphic here, because this is very important.
And you might also need to access the Facebook page to Diego has some videos on the Facebook page that shows the problem. So afterwards, put that on, and then we can talk about what the problem is.
All right, I got that queued up. So here we go. Get ready for a brand new segment.
Let's go. Keep your pants on.
That's right, everybody. Welcome to Core Dump.
That's right.
Perfect.
Where we talk shit.
We've been doing that for 2 hours and 16 minutes now.
Maybe you should put that intro graphic right at the start.
Welcome to Shit Talk. All right, go ahead.
Diego might want to explain what the game is he's trying to do. Then you can play the video, I suppose.
Okay, sure.
Diego?
Yeah, I mean, actually, this game, it's kind of a follow-on. The original one, I wrote it like 4 or 5 years ago, and I started thinking about making a little bit of an update, got carried away, and started adding a lot more things. The idea is that there is a little mouse somewhere on the screen, usually behind walls or sort of like that, different obstacles. And you have the cats that, in order to catch the mouse, they have to jump over the obstacles and try to land on top of the mouse before the mouse actually reaches the cheese.
Okay.
So yeah, the problem, I mean, I realized that I was optimizing the code, and actually I was getting more frames per second, but I noticed that actually was making the flicker look worse. At some point, I even created a table where I was pre-calculating all the positions of the cat during the jump.
Okay.
So then while actually jumping it, I was just reading from that table. So it was almost instantly, but the flicker was horrible. So I actually added a little delay between frames and noticed that the flicker didn't seem that bad, but of course that made the animation slower.
Right.
Now this is a basic program for the viewers to realize this isn't an assembly language program, so he's dealing with the speed of BASIC. And you're using the get and put commands to move the cat. So, yeah, at this point you might want to play the video so you can see the flickering.
Right. So I'll play the first one.
The arrow, the right break, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, so you see the cat kind of blinking as he's moving. But I got to say, before we even get into the tech talk of this, this is a really cool design, Diego. Visually, this looks really nice. I like how you have the city in the background, and, you know, your cats look like cats. So the graphics that you've created are really nice. So good job on this, sir.
Thanks.
It kind of reminds me of a cross between, like, maybe the old tank artillery duel where you had to, like, come up with your angle to shoot the bomb to blow up the other person. It's kind of like that. It's got a little bit of, like, Angry Birds going on here, too, and stuff. So kind of neat.
Yeah, actually, I started it because a few years ago somebody was talking about having an Angry Birds game in the CoCo.
Yeah.
And they were saying, no, it can't be done with all the physics and all that stuff. And I thought, well, but Angry Birds, it's the old Gorillas game, the one that came with the PC Basic, just grown up. Can't we do something in between?
Sure.
And yeah, this is kind of it.
Someone actually has written an Angry Birds for the CoCo 1 and 2.
Well, you're thinking of Flappy Bird.
Flappy Bird, that's it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a totally different game.
It's different, isn't
yeah.
it? Yeah.
Okay, so what we saw there on that video was the flickering, and your challenge right now is you want to reduce that flicker. And so one of the things you've done is you've put a pause in the cycle to reduce the flicker, and we'll go ahead and show that video now. Okay, so now we see some of the so now we see that it's not blinking as quickly, but now it's slower in its arc, right? And this is a similar challenge I was running into with my Cosmic Aliens too, was, you know, and at least with there I have the ability to double buffer so I can get rid of the flashing completely. However, it's at an expensive speed.
Right, and I actually it was after watching your video, the one where you dumped the double buffering and got the extra speed, but the blinking, that I thought, yeah, okay, I actually liked it better before, even though it was slower, because the flicker wasn't bad at all. I mean, there was no flicker. And next time I sat to write my game, I realized, yeah, you know what, the flicker here, it's pretty bad. What can I do to make it better? Is there anything that can be done to make it better?
Now, you're all... I noticed that the cat is superimposed over, say, a window. Whenever he flies in front of a window, you actually make it superimposed over it. So, in other words, I'm assuming you're also capturing the background and saving that and doing something more than just pasting doing a foot. So, in other words, you're doing a lot more than just a paste of the cat.
Sorry, my call keeps dropping for a few seconds every now and then. This is something that I wanted to mention about the way that I'm putting the graphics there. Paul Thoyer, I think it is the pronunciation of the name.
Yep.
No, you always have problems pronunciating names in Spanish. Now I have the problem the other way around. He gave me patch, you could call it, that if you load it, it will make the hput command when using the preset option to treat the color 0 as transparent.
Oh, neat.
All right.
So that's what I'm actually doing here. I'm just doing a regular hput with the preset option, and it's doing it by itself. It's getting that to work.
So, but do you still have to get the background and put the background back to restore it?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Okay, but you're not having to do any fancy trick to achieve transparency, though.
That's right.
That's actually pretty cool. Now, I haven't done get and put too much on the CoCo 3, but I know on the CoCo 1 and 2, you can speed things up if you have everything equal a full byte. You know, you capture everything in byte by byte blocks, and you put them at byte locations. And so I'm not sure how many pixels that translates to a byte on a CoCo 3 with 16 colors.
2 pixels per byte.
2 pixels per byte. So if you captured your image at so it's 2 pixels per byte?
Yeah.
Do you know how many pixels wide your cat is?
16.
So you would need to... So that's 32 bytes?
Mm-hmm.
8 bytes.
8 bytes? Okay. Yeah, so it shows you where my math skills are. So yeah, you would have to get it at exactly the 32 pixels, and then if you put it evenly every 2 bytes, you could do it without having to get it with the comma G, because when you get it with the comma G, it takes up more CPU resources to put it on the screen. So if you skip the comma G, you can do the fast put routine. However, you're limited on those positions. You can't do it at every odd pixel. You can only do it on every byte boundary. And so on a CoCo 1 on a P mode 4 screen, that's every 8 pixels is 1 byte, right? And so you would be limited to moving 8 pixels left or right, but it would be a faster putting. Does that option exist on the CoCo 3? Do you guys know?
I don't think it does.
No.
And actually, it's even worse, because what I found out is once I get the graphic, if I put it on an even pixel, I think it is. It depends on where I got it. If I get it from an even or odd, if I put it on the other one, then the graphic, it's all distorted.
Yeah.
It's kind of like if in I will need the G option, but I don't have it available. So I actually, before putting the graphic, I have to check if the coordinate is even or odd. And if it's even, I have to make it an odd position. I have to just put it 1 pixel to the right.
Maybe streamline your routine to only make it move 2 pixels at a time, so it's always even.
Yeah, that could work.
And you wouldn't have the extra calculations.
Yeah, you wouldn't have to do the calculations. Yeah.
And so are you capturing the background first and then placing the cat over an area and then having to restore the background with a put and just loop that whole process over and over?
I'm sorry, I got cut again. You were saying if I get...
Was the cut on my end? I'm just wondering if it's my microphone doing that.
No, it's me. It's me. It's been happening to me all day.
It's the Trump. Okay. It's the Trump tariffs on South American Skype calls right now. So basically, are you capturing the background first with a get, and then putting the cat on and using that transparency trick, but then having to put the background back on and then loop that whole process over and over?
Right, yeah. Let me actually, you know what? I'm going to try to share my screen, see how that works.
But yeah, I think if you hard-coded to always move 2 pixels and always move on an even pixel, it should it should speed that whole process up.
So here's my main loop. Goes from here to here.
What editor are you using there?
Oh, this is just Notepad++. I mean, I'm actually not coding in Notepad++. I'm coding on VCC. But from time to time, I dump my code to text, so I can, when I need to search for something or see how it is,
that's
it's
exactly
much easier than trying to figure it out.
How do you dump out of VCC?
I save the file in ASCII format, and then I use image tool to dump it.
Okay. I'm going in the reverse direction. I'm using an ASCII editor that is actually letting me directly manipulate the disk image. So
you can actually while we're on that, VCC allows you to set up a modify the print routine. You can do a L list or whatever, but you specify a file on the PC, and it will print your file to say I usually dump it to the desktop, and then you just grab that or just double click on that file and it opens up your editor. So no need to muck around with transferring the files.
Yeah,
BCC has that option. Yeah. Anyway, so
what,
there's one tip.
Yeah. So one of the things that I just recently learned, Diego, is that some basic optimizations. If you can have basic work with a variable versus a constant, it's actually faster than having to have to translate that constant number that you have in your code over to something else. So I actually retooled Cosmic Aliens for all my screen positions now are stored in an array variable, and I can pull them up quicker and I can refer to them as variables versus constants. And even when I'm adding positions, my offsets are being added as variables versus constants. So rather than saying, +2, I'm saying plus another variable that equals 2. And supposedly that's faster for BASIC to handle adding variables versus adding these constant numbers in the code. So that's just a little hack in changing some of your stuff. I noticed you're doing from a -7 to a +8, so that's your 15 or 16 pixels, right? So that's right. Kind of the dimensions, right? And then how are you moving it? Are you doing it by step 1 or step 2, or you just where do you start? Like, how do you increment the speed of that?
Yeah, I have. This is the horizontal position.
Okay, location, like LO for location.
Right. Yeah. So no, actually, this is for loop. If you're going through, if you went through all the levels and you play again, it makes it more difficult.
Yeah.
So this can be ignored basically. So it's just the horizontal position mass plus this value that kind of it's supposed to be the wind that blows your cat forward, and then the vertical position is here, which is.
Yeah, if you could simplify the code to where your cat's always moving 2 pixels, and it's dealing with whole numbers and not integers like 0.5s and things like that, that would probably speed it up too.
Yeah, that's pretty simple to do.
Yeah, and then if you needed to use the floating point numbers to slow it down, for example, you could find another way to slow it down just by using like the play command to play a very brief pause. I found using a fast play is better than doing a for next loop, and it's an easier statement too. So just like do a quick play pause, like P1 or whatever with a certain tempo, and if you needed to slow it down that way, that might be a way to do it.
Okay.
I think the bulk of the flickering is caused because of the fact that he's doing a lot of get and putting. If you could minimize the amount that you are moving the cat by, say, restrict it to 2 or maybe 4 pixels at a time, then rather than having to capture the background, draw the cat. You may have to turn off the transparency patch that you've got. Capture the cat, just say 2 pixels extra on all around it. That way, when you move the cat, you don't have to paste anything back. You can just move the cat to the new position. That saves a bit of the, capturing the background and restoring the background. Just keep printing just the cat, and the cat will automatically erase the previous cat. And, if it's moved forward by 2 pixels, it'll automatically erase those trailing 2 pixels as well. Right. The only problem is, of course, you can't superimpose it, making it fly in front of one of those yellow mirror windows that you've got there.
Right.
That's the only problem. So if it was me, I would look at maybe changing the background, move all the windows a bit higher, and so that your cat doesn't have to leave. Although you've got brick walls and stuff as well, so that's going to
maybe get the affected area ahead of time, do the whole animation to cycle, but let it be a destructive put where it is erasing part of the background behind it. But when the animation loop is done, then just put back the whole background. So you're not replacing the background every single time you replace the background at the end. So that might be a compromise, where as he's flying through the air, he's going to erase part of the windows and leave a trail. But as soon as he's done, boom, put it back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Diego, can you show your code, that the chunk that's doing the drawing? Because one other thing I would mention is have the time between drawing the background put and then the drawing the foreground cat
reduced.
Should be as right next to each other at all possible. So if you're doing some math calculations like positioning and stuff in between, maybe do the calculations first so that you got pre-set up what you're supposed to do. Then do your blanking put immediately followed by your actual drawing the cat, the new position put.
Yeah, that actually makes the animation faster, but makes the flicker worse. I think that part of the problem is the speed at which get and put work.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think the better solution would have been to have smaller graphics, though.
I think the extra flickering is caused because you're doing the gets and puts at a faster rate than what the scan line on the monitor is refreshing the screen. So you're catching points whereby it's not updating the screen. So you're getting this odd blanking period as well. Whereas if you slow that down, you are giving the screen more refresh time to be able to draw an entire frame, and you reduce that misstep. Have you ever seen, whenever you take for me anyway, over here we run 50 hertz video on TVs, and quite often if I have a video camera that's trying to capture a picture just by pointing it at the screen, the camera's probably going at a higher refresh rate, but the 50 hertz screen, it makes a weird ripple. They're sort of out of sync. Yeah. So you see a big dark band. That's because it's out of sync with that. And I'm thinking you're probably getting a bit of that as well. The faster you try to speed up that frame rate, you're falling more out of sync. In assembly language, what I always do is I synchronize the monitor for the top of a refresh, a V-Sync refresh, and then I do all my drawing, well, rather not at the top, at the bottom of the V-Sync. So after it's drawn a screen and the gun is retracing back to the top.
You're using the same time. You're using the same line number there.
Yep.
What I would actually experiment there with for your pause is figure out a play command and see how long that play command is. Like if you do a play 255 L1, P10, that might be like a 1/10 of a second pause. But you're gonna have to experiment with that to see how long the play is. But that way, it's just executing one line of code. You're not having to do any calculations or for loops or if thens. It's just a constant thing. You have to play around with that to see how long it is. But programmatically, that's going to achieve your pause result with less calculations.
So maybe there is a pause length that, even though it's not too large, it will be the correct one to give the best results according to the screen sync. Okay.
Yeah. So you can mess around with the length, the tempo, and the pause numbers and find one that works for you.
As I'm here,
and your graphics look really nice, I have to say. Did you use the Simon Jonasson semi-graphic screen to design that?
No.
Okay.
No. Just did manually. I
save the cheese, right? So you have to take out the mice before they get to the cheese, huh?
Right. Yeah. This is the new one. In the old one, there was no cheese. You were just trying to catch the mouse.
But I have to say, this looks really nice, man. It really does.
Thanks.
Oh, you're just using cheesy. Like a bit cheese. And there's your cats, huh?
Right. So I put the cats on the left side, then I choose which one is going to do the jump based on the wind. And there they go.
It looks a little better.
Ooh. Okay.
The flickering was a little better.
I guess. Do I need to use?
You need to do like a P1 or something. Yeah, you need to put a number after the P. Yeah. Yeah, it's a great little intro screen.
Thank you. Yeah, I cut out it has some music, but you know, I'm testing stuff and I need to keep going and going, starting it every time. Yeah. I'm gonna add an option to skip the music if you want, because otherwise
yeah, look at that. You don't even the flicker is barely noticeable.
Bad, yeah.
So you want to play around with that. So is your object to hit the cheese, or is your object to hit the mouse?
No, it's to hit the mouse. It's just that since I changed the horizontal value to make it always even, now the cats are jumping much longer than they used to.
Yeah. And what Jim Gary was also saying too is that he says you want to have your put loop set up to where you have before you restore the background, you want to have as much stuff in between the putting the cat and then restoring the background to create that natural pause too, right? So
yeah, that's another possibility. I used to try to have as few things as possible there to try to make it faster, but now that actually I want to make it slower, perhaps instead of just adding a natural pause, I can just move some code between the
between
the background and the foot of the cat.
Yeah, exactly. That'll slow it down too. Yeah. I got to say, I really like what you're doing. You know, and it looks really nice. This looks like a nice looking game. You know, a lot of times we'll sit here and say, "Oh, it's in BASIC. It can't be any good." You know, but I mean, look, we have Jim Gary in the live chat. Jim Gary cranks out stuff all the time, and he has some really neat stuff that he does. There's a lot of people in the Facebook group who are posting stuff that's done in BASIC that looks really nice. You know. So, I mean, this looks good. And I think this is kind of a cool segment because we have had some tech talks and some hardware talks, but we really haven't gotten into software talks or development talks. And so this is a good one. This is a good way to kind of test the waters and have that dialogue. And we're not necessarily going to solve the problems. We're not necessarily going to sit here and rewrite code on the air. But we can at least say, listen, here's what I'm doing, and we can brainstorm on it, and then you have some takeaways from this that you can go back and try. And then maybe the next week you can come back and say, hey, after all these discussions, here's what I've done, and here's the results. You know, I mean, we've got people in the sidebar offering in. So we're basically crowdsourcing some software assistance right now between the panel and between the people in the chat. So this is great. I really do. I like this, and thanks for having this idea, Nick Marentes.
I think it's great. Yeah. And actually, I was just reading, Curtis. I know I need to go to Basic 09 sometime. I need to do it. It's one of my goals. Yeah. And also, I was thinking, you know, doing a whole game in assembly, I really have very, very little time for myself and for my projects. I don't think that I can get to the point where I can do the whole game in assembly without, you know, spending months and months trying to learn. But perhaps learning enough so I can have a routine to just perhaps move the graphics in assembly. That will make it nicer and faster than just HGet and HPut.
Yep. And that's kind of what John Linville talked about this month on the CoCo Crew, was you know, giving you some ideas on ways to integrate assembly into BASIC. And that's kind of like, a lot of people have made that suggestion to me too, is that instead of jumping into the deep end of assembly, learn some assembly routines, just do small little things to speed up your program, and you kind of make that transition from one to the other, you know. Hybrid, you know. Terry Steen's asking about any good BASIC compilers that are out there. Now there is, what's the one for the CoCo 3? Is it called C Basic 3 or something like that?
Yeah. There's a couple of them.
Yeah.
ML Basic, C Basic, one's with software, one's Circomp. There was a bunch of for the CoCo 1 and 2 too. Some of them were very incomplete, like Aardvark's little mini compiler only did like print and 4next loops and a few other specific commands, but there was a few for the CoCo 1 and 2 as well.
I think with all of them though, none of them will take a normal basic program and just convert it outright. I think you've got to learn the syntax of the compiler. It's almost like a new version of BASIC in some cases. So you've got to write the BASIC the way the compiler wants you to write it, with what it commands it understands, and then you can compile it. So yeah.
Hey Diego, what is your website? I want to pull that up and put it in the link for everybody to get to your website to look at some of your games.
It's here. Yet another color computer site.
Okay, so that's yaccs.info.
That's right.
Okay, so I'm going to copy and paste that into the YouTube chat, and then let people get to that. Right, so that's yet another color computer site.info, and then from there you can get over to some of his other projects. Let me go back to full screen for just a second here. Right, so oh, you're sharing yours, right? So we have my programs, what is a CoCo, favorite programs, my CoCo hardware, right? So if you click on my programs, this is neat too. I like this, how you have this screen here. So like, for example, if I want to see felines, I would click on felines, right? Right. And that's actually a link, and that takes you to the thing. So that's really neat. And you have your arrow keys, and what does that do? That takes me back up, and here's my escape break key over here. That's pretty clever, and you've made your whole page have the CoCo green background and have a kind of a CoCo font. Yeah. So what are some of the other games you have on here? Mind Camp, right? This Mind Camp is looking. This was the original Mind Camp.
This is the original one, right?
Yeah.
This is the oldest one. Then just hit the okay. The MC2 will be the latest one.
Okay. Now look at this. These graphics look really nice. You know, you have a gift, my friend here, of making some things. Yeah. That looks really nice.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, it's been like 30 years, just basic. I gotta learn.
Yeah, right? That's cool. So you can actually oh, somebody's asking, did Roku just die? I'm not sure if and Roger Taylor was here before, Coco Tower. I don't know if he put a time limit on how long the Roku stream was going to go, but we're coming up on 3 hours, so he might have his time limit might have just ended. No, that's cool. So thanks for sharing that, Diego. And that's cool. Anybody have any other things you want to add to that? Questions, comments, panel discussion, Q&A?
That pretty well covered it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just a suggestion I made earlier, like you said, it made the flicker worse, though, which I guess would be bad. But trying to do your math calculations between, like, if I understood your code correctly, the first first put was to blank the background. 1020, I think it was.
So yeah, this one, it puts back the background.
The background.
Yep. So
okay, and then that HGet in line 1040 is getting the background you're going to be going over top of.
That's right.
And then you put the.
And then I put the actual graphic at the end. What's that?
Is that the preset one? Is that the 1040 as well? The CP, preset?
Yeah. Oh yeah, right immediately after it. Yep.
Yeah, so you might want to put some of the calculations between the put. So
right.
Yeah, because right now it's going to put the blank of the background, which is basically erasing your cat, and then you're doing the if v calculations and gv equals int, all while it's blanked, which will add to the flicker.
So yeah, I'll see.
So if you have another a couple of variables for what the old position was that you're going to be getting or putting the background back on, you could just kind of save your hput until right before your HGet. You put the cat, and that might
maybe do all the math first, then erase it, and then put it, and that way on your next cycle it's got to do some more math before it blanks it, so it would delay the time, because it seems like you've got a blank, then you're doing math, and you've got a put. So if you kind of just change the order of some of that, that might create that natural pause and allow the thing we want to see to be on screen longer.
Yeah, actually, I have this routine here that the 1050 it goes to move the mouse. I can actually just put it between the graphics. and that will give it some delay.
Yeah. Cool.
It probably pays to just copy the variables in the hput command to just temporary other variables. Then you can do your calculations. So you effectively got two sets of calculations, but you do the hput with the backup copies of the original values, and then immediately after it put the hput. I mean, you're using up extra variables, but at least the delay between the put and the two hputs are minimized.
Yeah, and that's what's creating, I think, the flicker the most, because you're blanking it out, and then you're doing all your ifs and ints and all that stuff, and then you draw it back on, and in between there's no cat on the screen.
No.
Right, so if you just move the blanking after the math, and then the put is on there, then you have that natural pause in the next cycle where it's got to do math before it blanks it and puts it again.
Yeah, and that's where Nick is saying that you have to keep copies of the variables because you're changing the position, putting the background on
the two. So just copy them beforehand.
Yeah, so you have to make like a backup copy of his original XY coordinates that you're putting the background on first.
Into
GH and GV.
Yeah. But hopefully,
that should cut the flicker down. And you wouldn't have to introduce the pause states. Hopefully, if it cuts it down enough, and then you can have the speed and less flicker.
What is that thing? That's like a trampoline that he just jumped on.
Yeah, that's one of the things I don't like too much on how the graphic is looking. Need to figure out something, and I need to clean this up. This is just garbage.
Yeah. Nah, it's nice though. It's a good quality. It's got a good quality look to it. It doesn't look like a homemade game. So that's cool. That's cool.
Now do that on a Commodore 64.
Right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
well,
I'm actually writing, doing some video series of course, in Spanish. I'm not going to get in anyone's business here. About learning to program in BASIC. I'm trying to do it for all the popular computers down here in South America. And now that I want to try to do something about graphics, I've been reading the Commodore manuals, and I want to shoot myself.
Yeah, right?
You can't. I mean, there's no way. I would have hated to buy a Commodore computer, turn on BASIC and say, and how am I supposed to use this? I just got to poke everywhere? That's not BASIC.
That's just buy games.
Yeah.
No, pirate them. That's the Commodore way.
You could probably stop your screen sharing now, right? I think we've probably seen enough of that. But I like that, and hopefully you'll have some takeaways, and maybe if you're in Discord now too, right, Diego?
No, not yet, but I will.
Okay, so yeah, we can carry the conversation on in Discord, and hopefully by next week you'll have something to show off that, some of the changes that you made.
Successful core dump.
Yeah, it was a good core dump for sure.
Yeah.
Now play the flushing sound. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. I like that. I had a similar thing. I'm kind of going through the same thing of Cosmic Aliens. I'm trying to figure out some ways to improve variables and reduce calculations, and so it is really interesting that you can do a fair amount of optimizing in BASIC just by changing the order of things and stuff. And for a long time I programmed every day of my life from probably like 1981 till probably 1999, so I probably had almost a good 2 decades of programming all the time, and your brain stays fresh with thinking like the computer, because in a way you do have to kind of think like the computer in order to take advantage of that machine. But we're going on probably 20 years since I've done any programming myself, so my brain is not naturally thinking the way the machine does. And so so sometimes you have to optimize the way you think about interacting with the machine, change your paradigms, and sometimes little tiny changes can make a big difference, especially in BASIC, because BASIC is such a slow language in itself. So when you can make these little tiny hacks, you can really speed up a lot of different things. And I'm finding that by playing with that and changing the way I organize my lines and things like that, it can make a difference,
Yeah, and learning the confines of BASIC and working within them is another too. Like, don't try to pull off something that would require machine language or a sprite chip or something. Like, understand what the commands are limited to, and then kind of build the game in such a way that it takes advantage of that.
Right.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Would it be faster to use a lookup table for positions of the cats rather than calculate it all the time and trying to simulate the physics?
I actually did that. Problem was that it was taking just too long to get the lookup table. It was taking like 5 or 6 seconds to do that.
Okay.
Maybe it seems like you and I have some similar things going on in our programs, Diego. So maybe you and I can get offline, compare notes, and try a few things. Because if you want, I can show you kind of what I'm doing right now with mine, and so I'll try to make this make sense. But and this kind of answers the question that Al was talking about. Is can you get a lookup table going? And I'll show you kind of what I've done sort of to achieve that. Now, the version I'm dealing with, actually I'm going to show you 2 different versions, and I don't know if I can. I can't, right now I'm using one of John Strong's tools that he's given me, which is very helpful. It's not quite like Notepad++, but the nice thing about this is I'm actually working on the disk image. Okay, so what I've done for my situation with Cosmic Aliens is I've realized that my screen is basically 16 blocks across by 12 blocks. So what I've done, the first thing I've done is I've created the ability to read those numbers into arrays right here, if you can see it. But I'm basically saying I'm going to take the number 0 and I'm going to multiply that by 16, so that gives me 0. My first position will be multiplied by 16, that gives me 1. My third one will be multiplied by 16, which is 32. So I've taken all of the screen positions for myself. I've done a little routine to do the math and put them into an array. So I know where they all are, and I can look them up very quick just by saying, I can come up with 2 X and Y coordinates and know where they're going to be on the screen. So by me putting all that stuff into variables and into array variables, I have the ability to quickly calculate X and Y positions without doing any math. And by me eliminating the math and also by doing it through variables, those 2 things have sped things up. Because one of the things that they mentioned in the Facebook group is that if you're having your computer multiplies and divides are very slow in BASIC. So
especially with this, since they're floating point.
Yeah, so I did all my multiplications in advanced and then stored them in a variable array. So the multiplication was done once at the beginning of the program, and now I'm just doing adds. And I'm also only adding a variable now instead of a constant. So between those 2 things, that has sped up things considerably. So this is kind of like my lookup table, is I have all of my grid positions of my X and Y coordinates, and I actually have not only the starting locations but the end locations, so I don't have to do any math to know where the end of my put is either. I have basically a top left coordinate and a bottom right coordinate all pre-calculated and stored in an array, so I know where everything is going to be. And I've designed my game where everything is always going to fit into these same boxes, and these boxes never move. So yours is going a little bit more gradiently by a pixel by pixel basis, where mine is going block by block by block. So I'm moving 16 pixels every time. So not the same thing, but a similar approach could probably be stored to create these lookup tables in advance, do all the math in advance, and then just compare them to an array. And by having them in a variable state versus a constant, and by doing them with an addition versus a multiplication, those 2 things will probably speed you up, if that made any sense.
Yes, it did.
So that's kind of like what I'm working on right now. And that's all kind of internal stuff that nobody's going to see that in your program. There is no visual benefit that somebody can say, oh my God, this guy just changed the way he's handling his variables, and look how pretty the colors are now because of that, right? So there's no benefit visually, but hopefully performance-wise, little hacks like that might gain you some benefits,
Yeah.
Once Alan Huffman gets his, maybe it's online now, it was offline yesterday, but he had his whole optimizing BASIC, which had a whole bunch of cool tricks, some including I had never even heard of. Like if you want to do a constant 0, don't put in 0. Put in just the dot. The period.
Yeah, but
it's faster.
Put in just a period.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he has a ton of things like that, like little tips. So.
Yeah, Jason had given me a disk image that was off the Color Computer Archive, where there's a program giving you a lot of tips to speed up BASIC, you know, and it mentioned that. That's where I got that tip from. The thing that Jason sent me was, you know, don't add a constant, add a variable, because it's faster for the interpreter to look up the variable in memory than to convert what's in your code back to a number, right? It's because everything the BASIC interpreter has to do is it has to interpret what you've done versus what your processor is doing in assembly. So little tricks like that.
And it keeps reinterpreting too. I mean, that's the problem with BASIC, because it's not compiled in any way, shape, or form. If you do a go to a line that has a constant, it has to recalculate the constant again, even if it's already done it before. That's one advantage BASIC 9 does, because it goes through and figures out what are all the constants, pre-makes them properly, and then they become the equivalent of variables, even though they are constants.
And so it basically has to be retranslated every single time.
Yeah.
Whereas the variable is stored in memory now, so it's just pointing to something in RAM. So it's not having to.
It's pointing to the already converted, fixed up version.
So it's already converted. It's already stored in RAM. So now it's just pulling it from RAM without having to translate it every time. So yeah, no, it's neat. So I think these are kind of cool discussions. I don't know if we put anybody to sleep. Now I feel like this is my chance to be like David. This is my chance to be like David Ladd and make somebody's head explode.
On go sub.
Yeah,
on
go to on
put,
go sub.
Get
array, 2-dimensional array. Variable versus constant. Cool. So did we help you at all, Diego?
Yeah, pretty much. I think at least it's going to get somewhat better, and ideally it's going to get much better.
Yeah, and Jim Gary says, but don't use too many variables. It's a trade-off. And I think I just discovered that last night when I tried to do that too. I tried to compare one array table versus another array table, and now it's slowed it down. So I think I've got to take one step back. But what I ended up doing was, for me to do my offsets to my aliens, I've loaded all those offsets into arrays as well. So I'm not having to do the math as much. I'm just having to add one value from array that automatically adds or subtracts to my XY coordinates. And when I did it just that way, it sped it up. But when I tried to take all of my table of XY coordinates and put that in another array and compare two-dimensional arrays within the same get put statement, I've now slowed down my game. So you can over efficiency size what you're doing and have a negative impact on your performance. So I guess there's
other tricks too, like if your program is roughly finished, renumber with just single as low as line numbers as you can.
Right. Renum 0,0,1, and that just takes.
If you're doing variable names, make your most common variable names, dim them first, so that the first ones still look up when it's trying to hunt through the variable list to find them. Single character ones analyze a bit faster than double character ones. So your most common variables should be like single letters, not doubles. I mean, that might be harder to read, so you might have to make some remarks for yourself. So that's the trade-off there, but it will run a bit faster.
Okay. Yeah, those are a lot of things that I didn't know. I guess I need to watch Alan's videos.
Yeah, well, these are good discussions. So join us on Discord. We do have a basic text channel open, so we can have basic discussions in there too. Like one of the ones I threw out this morning was I was trying to use the disable break key and from the 500 Pokes, Peaks, and Execs books, and I've tried a few different versions of what's in that book. I can't get the break key disabled to work. So I know there's some people out there who have made that work. So hopefully somebody's going to help me answer that question. And because supposedly just by disabling the break key, you speed up your program, 10, 15, 20%, because it just reduces one more thing that your interpreter has to look for now. So lots of things you can do, little things here and there. And you just educated a lot of us to that hack to the put where it automatically puts with the transparency. I've never even conceived that, because when I've done it on a CoCo 1 and 2, I've had to come up with my own techniques to erase the background with a negative mask and then paste it on a foreground and come up with some hacky ways to achieve transparency. You've come up with a very efficient way to do that. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, like I said, that was Paul.
Yeah, Paul Thayer. Yeah. And Paul might have gotten some of that knowledge from Simon. There's a lot of knowledge sharing going on around here, which is great. So Simon Jonason, the madman. So cool. Was this a good first debut of the segment, everybody?
Sure.
So this concludes a core dump. So Grant Leighty has changed his thing to a poop emoji. So
there's no toilet paper here.
He already dumped his core. It looks of it.
So it looks like Grant's just done a brain dump.
You're looking at the core of Grant there. That's what Grant's based on.
So
it's the first time that Stevie has ever exploded my brain, because he definitely did it this time.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's my turn to play the part of David Ladd today. Is played by Steve Strobridge. So. Good talk, guys. I like that. So we're now at 3 hours. Have we beat this one to death?
Yep.
Okay. So another good CoCo talk. Anybody have any closing things you want to say? Anything you want to plug? Things we should be thinking about? Words of wisdom? Perhaps an inspirational thought?
Get on your computer cable.
CoCo 3 SCART. I want to say this. I'm gonna get a little sentimental here for just a minute. I want to say thank you to everybody here and everybody who's been here before, because a couple weeks ago I asked a question about motivation. What do you guys do to stay motivated? And for me, one of the things that does motivate me, even though I don't actually achieve too much, what does motivate me is the fact that there are a lot of people out there who are doing things, like Bruce Moore with Forest of Doom and CoCo Forever, and Nick Marentes working on his blogs and his programs. So there's enough people out there who are actually doing and achieving things that it does give inspiration. Rick Adams working on his latest game. So, so all you guys out there who are doers, I want to say thank you, because it's definitely been motivating me, and I'm trying to be a lot more involved with working on my game right now. So I'm in the zone, and I have not been in the zone on a programming project in 20 years. So right now it's like, I feel like this must be what you guys have been feeling like for a long time, those of you working on your projects and making things. I'm starting to get into that feeling, and it's a good feeling. So I want to say thank you to everybody who's provided inspiration to the community.
You're welcome.
Steve, you are one of those, okay?
No problem.
You're an inspiration also, at least to me, and I believe to everyone else.
I don't know how to handle that.
Yeah, please explain.
It sounds like another core dump is about to take place here. So
It's a small room. He's got to be able to fit his head in there, so that's not inflated.
Man, it is starting to stink in here.
So does anybody else have any parting thoughts they wanted to say before we start the train wreck outro?
Buy my stuff or the dog gets it.
BoySonTech.com, CoCo3ScartCable.com, CoComan.biz. Anyone else?
On sale now.
Parting thoughts, words of wisdom? All right, well, we're going to start the first half of the outro, so you have a minute to think about it if you want to come back with some stuff. So here we go, kids. This concludes another episode of CoCoTALK, the world's leading live talk show featuring the Tandy Color computer. For all things CoCoTALK, visit us on the web at CoCoTalk.live. We'd love to hear from you. Send feedback, suggestions, even segments via email to CoCoTalk@CoCoTalk.live. If you love the color computer like we do, then visit IMACoconut.com for all your color computer links needs. Consider supporting the show with a purchase of merchandise from our retro swag shop at 8bit256.com. If you'd like to become a patron of the show, visit the Patreon link on our site at CoCoTalk.live. CoCoTalk would not exist without the community and its cast and crew. Thanks go to Curtis Boyle, David Ladd, Mark Overholser, Grant Leighty, Bruce Moore, Nick Marentes, Ron Delvaux, Rick Adams, Jason Reighard, Richard Lorbieski, Jim Brain, Karen Anscombe, Simon Jonison, Wayne Campbell, Steve Batson, Brian Joyce, John Strong, and Barry Nelson. Special thanks to Steve Bjork for production suggestions and Brian Joyce for our best of episodes and bonus content. Please help support the CoCo community by visiting some of its contributors. The CoCo Crew podcast at CoCoCrew.org. I can't hear you right now. Glenside Color Computer Club, host of CoCo Fest at GlensideCCC.com. Jim Brain and Retro Innovations at Go, the number 4, Retro
CoCo.com.
Where you return all your Boyson Technology products.
Boyson Technologies at BOYSON Tech.
Great guy. I like him.
Get your
Know
own
him very
switcheroo
well.
at CoCoMan.biz and Cloud9 Technologies at Cloud9Tech.com. CoCoTALK is hosted by Steve Strobridge, co-hosts, technical directors, segment hosts, and producers Curtis Boyle, David Ladd, Grant Leighty, Mark Overholser.
We need to add Nick Marentes now for his
production
dump
motivation,
segment.
Steve Bjork. The CoCoTALK theme song is copyright 2008 by D. Bruce Moore and Greg Schalar. Mixed, mastered, and produced by D. Bruce Moore. CoCo forever, people. And let's not forget a very special thank you to Roger Taylor for getting us on the CoCo TV channel on Roku.
Two stooges and a good guy.
Yeah, there is something that Brian Joyce has given me that I have to find out because it's not coming up. So we'll do that in our. We're going to do that right now. We're going to do it live. So Brian has created another cool clip, and and I do have it queued up somewhere, but I just need to find it. And so I'm going to go ahead and pull up my Google Drive right now, and I don't remember if he has it under, if I put it under bumpers or commercials. What is this? These are my bumpers. I should probably do a search, right? If I was smart, I would probably do that. But I'm not smart, so...
Just be careful not to pull up your porn.
It's midget porn. It doesn't take up as much space. So,
compressed porn.
Here's our CoCo teasers. Where the hell is it? Where the hell is it? I don't even know where the hell I put it. He gave it to me. Maybe it's in my creator's space. I don't frickin' know. Hold on one second here. I could have sworn I put it in... There we go. You guys ready for this? This is a world premiere.
Do it live.
Oh, God.
You can leave your hat on. You can leave your hat on. You can leave your hat on.
There you go. So I know I have it queued. I know I have it queued up, but it just hasn't played in the playlist yet when I run my.
And I thought we couldn't lower our standards.
Hey,
ye of little faith.
He raises the production value with these little clips here. If it wasn't for those clips, this show would be nothing. So. Good stuff.
The division by zero error.
Yes, yes. So Nick Marrota had to go. He says, sorry for leaving Skype suddenly. Computer crashed. Yeah, I can relate. So, to the computer crashes. Good show, guys. So now we are in the post-credit part of the discussion. So did anybody think of anything you wanted to say before we completely wrap up the show? You'll get one more chance if you can't think of it now. Everyone good?
Go online with your CoCo.
Go online with your CoCo. Let me take this time to acknowledge everybody in the live chat, right? So Tim Franklin has been here, Al Hartman, Boyson Tech, John Linville, Retro Innovations, Boyson Tech, Paco Atacte, Terry Steen, Dr. X0079, Retro Innovations, Disney Saints fan, Diego was in the live chat, Grant Leighty was in the live chat, Mark Overholser in the live chat. On vacation at Starbucks, no less. Sixie, Karen Anscombe was here. Davey Mitchell from sunny Scotland. Nick Marrota, Extructus Productions, Expelliarmus, and Ed Snyder has been here. Ken Make It, the brother of Jason Reighard. It was in the live chat. Terry Steen in the live chat. Wayne Campbell. We have not heard from Wayne in a while, so it's nice to have Wayne Campbell in the live chat. And did I mention Ed Snyder was in the live chat, and John Linville was in the live chat. And we had Jacob, I don't know if it's Riddle or Rydell. Jacob's somebody who watches my other YouTube channel where I do Minecraft videos. He's probably under the age of 18 and has never heard of a CoCo or retro. So he came in here probably dumbfounded by what the hell we were talking about. Ed Snyder and Wayne Campbell and Nick Marrota, Tim Franklin, and a bunch of chat going on here. So yeah, Jim Gary with all of his just words of wisdom. 60. 60 says, please no CoCoTALK full Monty. Right? So, yeah, there's not going to be any full Monty here on the CoCoTALK. All right. So, anything else, guys?
I just would probably say we probably need to plug VCF and TNT Assembly because they're both coming up in the near future.
We certainly do. So VCF and Tandy Assembly. Yes, TandyAssembly.com, VCF Midwest. Grant and I will be there. Jim Brain will be there. Probably some more people will be there. So make sure you check those out. All right, one more slice of credits here, and then one more chance to say goodbye, and then we're going to say goodbye.
Hi, this is Antonio Jimenez, author of such projects such as the Stevie Strow Devil and the SD Pack, and you are watching CoCoTALK in 3, 2, go.
I'm behind you making faces.
Okay.
Do you have a script?
You're rolling, Curtis. You say whatever the hell you want to say.
Well, give me some kind of guideline.
Hi, this is Curtis Boyle.
Hey, this is Eric, and you're listening to CoCoTALK.
All right, we're rolling. You say whatever you want to say, David.
Keep making faces at him.
Nation, world, sweetie. Weekly, any computer. Something like that.
Hi, I'm Tim. Playing Daggerith like that idiot from the book. You're watching CoCoTALK.
Thank you, David. Now get back up there for 1 second.
Oh, jeez.
Come on.
What?
Let's get some DriveWire, TTL,
No,
ESP.
no, we don't need any DriveWire or TTL.
Yes,
Chris Boyle's
the
part of
greatest
the
talk show on
CoCoTALK
earth.
crew of people.
Hi, we're on Delvaux Timberman. To experience Coco Fest, you must come. But I brought the only working MC10. I could not get.
Couldn't
autograph. By certain someone you know. Oh well.
The world's leading weekly CoCoTALK show. Yeah, something like that.
Hi, this is Rick Adams, and I'm the author of Temple of Rom, Shanghai, and now Bomb Threat, and you're listening to Stevie Strow on CoCoTALK.
8-slot MPI, you know, floppy drive, CoCo SDC, Sound Speech Pack, Orchestra 90, RS-232 Pack, Modem Pack, Super IDE. You start adding all those together if you want them all usable at the same time. Well, guess what? You just went over the 4-slot MPI.
Wow. All I can say is wow. All I can say is wow. All right, good show, guys. Final chance for your final thoughts. Anyone? Bueller?
Are we going to have After Dark?
Possibly. Who knows? We'll talk about that later. I can't answer for myself right now.
But where did we decide that?
In Discord, where all the cool kids hang out, right?
Exactly.
So we'll talk about that in Discord. My family just got home. It's about dinner time, so we're gonna go. We're gonna go eat. All right, guys. Hey, Nick Marentes, thank you for that segment. Diego, thanks for joining us. Steve Batson, thanks for being here. Al Hartman, Richard Lorbieski, thank you. I think Curtis Boyle, thank you. Ron Delvaux, thank you. Grant Leighty, as always. Coco Man, thank you. So we're going to end this train wreck. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Where's the train wreck?
Hold on.
Where's the train? There we go. There's the train wreck. The core dump is complete. We're signing off. Disney Saints fan says, thanks, guys. Thank you, Disney Saints fan. All right, we're out of here, people.
See you guys.
Greatest part of the